second in series, I can say. GST Practice is a very unique 4-hour capsule program we have designed under the Indirect Tax Committee of Southern India Regional Council. Every month will be deliberated by experts, GST experts, on the latest developments on the subject, practically along with case studies. Today we will be having two very expert, eminent persons. One, CA V. Prasanna Krishnan. Friends, kindly join your hands welcoming CA Prasanna Krishnan on the dais, please, sir, on the dais. The topic today is a very, very apt topic. GST refunds. I am sure some of you would have been aware about the yesterday's press release. There is a press release which says 15 days from today till 14th of June 2018. This 15-day window is a special refund fortnight, and government is facilitating the trade to come forward to get the refund which is pending before the department. Close to 30,000 crores as GST refund. I also acknowledge presence of SARC chairman. I invite chairman SARC on the stage, please. 30,000 crore GST refund. Out of this, 16,000 crore is IGST refund and 14,000 crore is the input tax credit which has to be refunded to exporters. And there are innumerable reasons. Maybe percentage-wise, statistics-wise, Mr. Prasanna Krishnan will present the statistics. There are n number of reasons why the processing of refund request, especially the RFD 01 form, with various reasons for resubmissions, requests for documents, etc. are there. And may I request the participants who are sitting there, there are a lot of round tables waiting for you. Kindly be close to us as well as to the speaker. May I request the participants who are occupying the seats in the front. So for the early comers, you have the first rows here. The Covenant first rows.
They are inaugurating now, today.
This table is, this is the first session. We are going to have a round table program like this. So all of the people who are sitting in this round table are very fortunate. So please come and occupy. So this is actually a second drive, special drive refund fortnight. Friends, I think this is an apt coincidence. Actually, we never thought that there will be a press release with respect to GST refunds. So it's definitely a coincidence, and it's a wish of Almighty that today's program we are starting with the challenges and issues and solutions with respect to GST refunds. So before I introduce the speaker, may I request the chairman of Southern India Regional Council, C. Adusumali Venkateswar Rao, to give his address.
My colleague in the Regional Council, C. Gopal Krishna Raju, today's speaker, C. V. Prasanna Krishnan, senior members, my fellow members, ladies and gentlemen, good evening all of you. I welcome you to this GST seminar. Friends, after abolition of indirect taxes, GST became a good revenue for chartered accountants. Not only for filing GST returns, even for getting GST refunds also we need to pursue, even state government and central government. Present system, without after applying refund, within a week they are paying 90%. After that again they are doing audit, then only they are releasing that. Even for members also, we have raised the issue about GST issue. When a partnership firm is there, you are paying your fees in the name of in the individual capacity as per Chartered Accountant regulation. Even your CP credit, you are only obtaining in the name of individual member. We have escalated this matter to ICA. ICA has appointed one study group under the leadership of Mr. C. Atul Gupta, for which they are going to obtain one advance ruling from even GST. As you are well aware, for proprietors there is no issue. Even in, we are also, today I had a video conference with all our 45 branches in SARC. So we requested all the nodal offices which are located in each state. We also requested our nodal office people to get the details of our own branches to give GST credit. Unless otherwise we give total information to the nodal office, they cannot file their returns and we will not get credit. Here also we are taking help of Prasanna Krishnan Garu in the GST matters. We have actually took him as an even consultant for sort out the SARC issues. That is because why I am telling, even though it looks like simple, there are a lot of complications are there for getting input credit. Even I have planned for Golden Jubilee Regional Conference in Hyderabad. Again, SARC is conducting a program. We are hosting in Hyderabad branch. Again, when I ask other friends, other consultants who are experts in that opinion, they are explaining different opinion. Because we are conducting event in HACC, Hyderabad International Convention Center, as an event. Because HACC is an event organization, they will not give their premises separately without food. When I ask our friends, they are telling whether the bill is given individually or jointly. I said, bill is given jointly, individually. Why? Because it depends, food is dependent upon the participants. Number of participants are more, the food bill will get more. Even though they are paying 18%, we will not get any credit. That is the opinion they have given. All these things that we are landing a lot of even complications, I think which our land members will enlighten us. Let us hear to them. And in SARC, I also request you to pay all the members to pay the fees, because when I observed, around 6,085 members have been removed. Friends, you are not aware. When I am calling the members, they say we paid the fees. They paid the fees, but they paid with a delay. Before 30th September, a member has supposed to pay the fees. Unfortunately, he paid on 1st October or 10th October. Even though not only this is not the case of only 1 year, a member who paid in October 2015 his fees, thinking that he is a member as of now. When I have reviewed, he paid 16 fees, he paid 17 fees, but he is not a member. Because when I reviewed it, around 1,062 members who paid the fees, who could not fill the form. So why I am raising this issue? Whenever we are in practice, the other day one member called me. He paid the fees, but he didn't submit the form. And some people paid only membership fees. They didn't pay the COP fees. You just think over about their articles. The member, once he is to be a member as a COP member, we cannot give him membership with older date. Membership can be given older date, but COP fees can be paid given only prospective, not retrospective. That is the date of application when you submit. So please tell your friends and be careful, particularly with membership fees. So I appeal all the members to pay your fees, and you please suggest particularly in SIRC, we want to do lot of modifications. We want to refurbish this total SIRC office. Why? Because when we approached HO to demolish this total building, because we have around more than 21 grounds, which is a prime place, and we have given a proposal to build with beautiful facilities with 2-floor car parking on all, which cost around 57 crores. 6 years back they accepted, so far later there was no improvement. This year, after a great purchase, we got some refurbishing grant, now which we want to do it in a phased manner. All members are requested to give their suggestions wherever they need improvement. We are ready to do that. In first phase, we already kept ICA name board on the top of this thing, ICA LED with then we are also replacing name board of Southern India Regional Council of Satisfaction, the entrance. We are making a lot of changes. We also request you to give your feedback and to give your suggestions to improve further our facilities and also services. Whenever you have any issues, particularly either membership or students, you are free to call SIRC chairman. You can send me mail sircchairman@ica.in or sircms@ica.in, src@ica.in. We have given all our mobile numbers, including our residence numbers, in the website. You are at free. You are welcome to call me at any time. I am at your service. This I conclude. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Chairman. Before I introduce the speaker, we'll raise for ICA motto.
सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्लं तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वतनुनाद्यविकश्चनाद्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैत 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 एतद्वैत.
C.A.V. Prasanna Krishnan. He will take us through the very, very most live topic. The GST is not only about paying taxes but also taking back our right and royal refunds also from the department. And I must thank C.A.V. Prasanna Krishnan for accepting our invitation to be part of today's program, to share his knowledge and experience. One of the very few experts in GST, like Mr. Prasanna Krishnan, who actually very professional in right from the way he presents the topic and also enriches the knowledge of the participants. Sir, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. He is a founder partner of a Chennai-based firm. He specializes in the field of indirect tax laws with focus on GST and customs. He is a successful indirect tax law counsel, appearing for excise customs cases before the Honorable Sestat and Appellate Authorities, and also VAT Tribunal Authorities and GST Authorities. With this professional support, in the year 2007, non-star hotels in Tamil Nadu got notification for concessional rate of LPG, establishing their business to be a manufacturing activity. All India Omnibus Owners Association took its professional support in its strong representations to Honorable Ministry of Finance, Government of India, and they were successful in obtaining activity-specific abatement through a notification dated 4th April 2007 when the service tax was there. Further, on invitation from Ministry of Finance on June 2009, he represented All India Tourist Bus Owners Association in 2 rounds of submission before the Central Board of Excise and Customs, Ministry of Finance. His suggestions relating to customized compound levy scheme has been acknowledged by Honorable PM Office on 24th July 2015 for favorable consideration while implementing GST Act in India. Section 10 of CGST Act read the related version, partly implementing this suggestion. Friends, a big round of applause for being a Karta as part of the CGST laws. Recently in Jan 18, accepting his representation on contradiction between GST circular and GST notification, the Central Board of Excise and Customs, then Ministry of Finance, issued corrigendum confirming relief to college mess and food joints, because that was coming under the GST. Now it has been given relief. On knowledge sharing front, he is a professional who delivers lectures in various government forums. So his students are Joint Commissioners, Commissioners of the GST Department, NASEN and Regional Training Institute of Comptroller and Auditor General. These are the Government Training Institute training the officials of the GST Department, and also for the Reserve Bank of India. He has contributed to various training sessions of even public sector units like ONGC, IOC, BHEL, and he has handled ICA's seminar throughout India, a national speaker of about 45 hours per annum in the past 1 decade. He is an active member of the GST study group formed by the Indirect Tax Committee of ICI. And on academic aspects, he writes a lot. He has written articles, especially in Business Line, Excise Law Times, Industrial Economist, Service Tax Review, Economic Times, and he has conducted training programs and workshops for various government and private organizations in excise and VAT then. And in the media and society, he has given series of interviews and has participated in tax law related discussions in various television programs, both in Tamil as well as in English. He has delivered lectures on various topics, especially on indirect tax laws, in various workshops, seminars for trade bodies, chambers, etc. He is a founding member of a few non-profit academic societies focusing on indirect tax laws. That's a very, very brief profile about C.F. Krishnakrishnan. Friends, can you join your hands? Let's hear from the horse mouth what is and the issues and how to overcome these issues with respect to getting refunds from the horse mouth. Okay, thank you.
Learned brothers and sisters, good evening. Please note the response level. You have something to start from here. See, there is a greeting from my side, and it reaches mostly to you, I think. And there is a kind of response, you know, what is the level of response. This is what the problem and this is what the solution, where it is starting actually. I am communicating something to you, it doesn't reach you, and there is some gap. For somebody it is not reaching at all, a few, minority. For majority it reaches, but it is not coming back to me, of course. For some of them it reaches, of course some other confusion is there, partly it is getting responded. Yeah, please. So the problem is how you communicate to the department and also to the machine. That's very important. Forget about the department now. How you are communicating to the machine and the system that you are eligible for refund, and how they have designed the system to understand that you are a person who is eligible for getting that refund. This is the big trouble actually. There is some gap. The software and website related matters are a little different one, you know very well. It is not coming under any proper sense. You can easily understand the rocket science also. You cannot understand the style in which the software making person or website creating person's mind is working. It's a big problem actually. To start with, we have no time, much time, but still. It was, of course, it's a known story to you, I believe. It was a helicopter. A pilot was run, the pilot, the aircraft for more than about some 4,000, 5,000 hours. Experienced man is a pilot. A co-pilot is also there. He is relatively young person, experience-wise, of course. The helicopter is caught in between a big hurricane. It's a very stormy time. With a lot of turmoil, they are trying to move forward. They are not able to see anything at all. It's only a dust storm. So the pilot is trying to send an SOS with available signal strength to the nearest possible place. He is not able to see any building at all when he is trying to land. Sending a message saying that, where are we? Is the question. In few seconds, it blinks and says that, you are inside your helicopter. This man immediately decided, excellent. So there is some software company underneath us. We will get down safely. There will be, generally software company will be having big building. There will be big terrace. We will easily get down. You will get down. Some with lot of shaking these things and all, they get down. The co-pilot congratulated him twice and said that, sir, first congratulations for your professional skill. How you excellently managed and brought us down. It's somewhat great. I have to still learn from you a lot. You are great senior to me. Nice. Secondly, I want to know one more thing, sir. I don't know how we are able to understand that there is some software company beneath us and you can get down in the storm time. How you are able to assess so comfortably, I am still wondering, sir. That's very simple, man. When I asked, where are you? A normal human being will say that you are near California, San Francisco, something they will tell you, whatever it is, Moscow, something like that. It's only the software guy who will be telling a reply which will be technically correct, practically useless. Yes, practically is right. Where are you? You are inside the helicopter. Technically correct. Practically what is the use for him? Nothing. Fine. No, he made use of it, that is different now. That is the same status in which you are also now. Though your website is not cooperating well to get your refund, you have to understand that what kind of website it is and how you can get the refund. The next 1 hour, 10 minutes plus discussion will be focusing on how to understand the requirement of this system. Where are the flaws are there? Certain things, honestly, they accepted. They tried to correct, they tried to at least confess. Some of the things they are not told at all. Yes, there is a problem, we are in trouble, they did not tell at all. We need to understand on our own, we need to try to see that how we are coming out of this problem. That's all. Now we will get into the subject. Before going to the core aspects actually. What you are seeing here is the quick numbers to be seen for the purpose of moving forward actually. A lot of confusing statements are made that exports have come down, a lot of pressures are there for the export industry, a lot of things are discussed as such. To be frank, it is about 5.27% export increased in foreign exchange terms, 7.13 times increased in INR terms actually, because INR value come down of course. So it is on increasing trend only, you will be able to see that. There is a big dip in July 2017. Then again there is a noteworthy dip in October 2017 due to the preliminary struggles as well as this ITC related transition issues and all. Then it goes slowly as per the trend. The August 2018 figure what you are seeing, as I was telling you, comparing to 24,600 odd figure, now it is touching about some 25,000 something. As I told, 5.23%, little more only actually. So exports are happening there with all the struggles. It's that. He is an Indian, of course. He knows very well how to struggle, and still, amidst all this problem, how he can come out. That's what is happening there actually. So that is not a problem at all. But please remember, as the exports are happening there more, naturally you will be having more query for claiming the refund. Because they input a lot and then try to get the output that they have proved also. Output is going. Where from they are getting it? More or less from the domestic area only they are getting it. So they need to see that they are getting back their money. How far it is rightly done by the government is a question. You are able to see here, there was a fast track scheme brought in somewhere between March 16 to March 31st. So on 15 days big gala function was there, and a lot of festival kind of things were there, shaman and all were put. You were not able to understand whether it is a marriage hall or is customs office. You had a lot of confusion actually. So only thing is absence of this divine music and all, that's all. Otherwise everything is looking to be very marriage kind of matter actually. So that was there. And 17,616 crores only in this period got cleared. They have proper records also. It's an official information. So wherein there are about some 9,604 crore rupees, IGST is also involved in that. They dispersed as a refund. Please remember, for those who have filed there at least manually, October 2017 you got a, that is one notification circular actually. On that basis, at least if you are doing that manual process, to a greater extent if it is matching, with subject to some kind of declaration what they have got from you, that more than 2.5 crore rupees, I have not committed any offence, I am a small offence party only, that such a type of highway is not there for me, and I am a person who has not done anything wrongly in the past. If you are able to prove that something I have done in the past, you get back the money what you are giving to me. All these things they got in writing and then gave the refund. Now after a gap, again they are planned. Actually it was planned between May 16 to 31st. Now they have planned to go for this. Today is the first day of this second round of fast track. Today, this morning. They started that. So any jurisdictional office of yours is forming part of it. There is no separate center to be expected to go there and get your relief actually. They are forming part of it. Every jurisdictional officer of yours is having a responsibility to see that he is responding to your query relating to the refund and trying to reasonably process the matter and help you to see that it is expedited. So what are all the necessary records and things and all problem, we will discuss. That's our arena. But to come to the numbers, FIU's president was telling that yesterday, that is yesterday morning he was telling that about 20,000 crore rupees of exporters refund is stuck up. So government has to come and help us, he had been telling. Immediately within 3.5 hours time, government gave a response saying that it is not 20,000 crores, it is only 14,160 crore rupees which is pending as eligible refund. All other applications either not filed at all as you are saying or filed and got rejected. We issued our RFD 03, RFD 02, we check it up. So that's what they are told. Now their version is having allotted about 30,000 crore rupees for a long period. It's only 14,160 crore rupees which is pending there. In the 15 days time, whoever has rightly filed and having an eligible refund pending in their hand will certainly be assured that they are getting the refunds without any fee. That's what is assurance. So these numbers are giving us some hope that if you are really filed in time, if you are really filed rightly, you don't have any serious problem. But filing rightly itself is a big task in certain cases. There are some issues, we will just discuss in detail actually. So, prima facie, if you feel that I have filed the right refund claim up to 30 April 2008, midnight 12 o'clock, if you are done, that's a cut-off point. You are eligible to get in this process of 15 days immediately. Maybe from the 1st May 2018 what you have filed, maybe little time it will take, and maybe another fast track could also be there, we don't know. But it will be processed during the course of time. Now the problem is, all these are fine. What about the promises made actually? They said some e-wallet concept to be introduced, wherein the money will come to that and you will make use of it, that one. What happened to that one, whether it is effectively there or not? And the government told that they will be trying to see that automatic refund is coming to your kitty clearly on its own. And that is the reason why, though RFD 01 could not be implemented, RFD 01A they brought inside. So that is again is a matter not answered actually. The track record based, they are saying that we will be giving an ad hoc refund and process. In practice, we are able to see that this ad hoc refund system is not seriously followed. Then we are able to see. They raise query and give the questions to you and it is getting processed. The ad hoc refund is still not a full-fledged process except in few brackets and buckets. Other places and all you are not able to see. There are some industrial areas like Pollachi, Avinashi, Karur and other places. Or maybe to Andhra and Telangana, there are some brackets where they seriously try to do it. And there are certain areas where this SEZs and places they try to do it a little more seriously. But in a regular area, semi-urban area, rural area, you are not able to see the ad hoc kind of payments regularly happening there. Maybe the field formation is yet to be advised due. Now, when a refund is occurring, where a refund related situation is coming, we'll just have a quick look at this. You may be having a broader idea still. If you have missed out to record in your mind one or two situations, maybe when I'm listing out, you will be having some one or two, I believe it's a presumption, one or two situations you might have missed in your mind, you can just take note of it. This is also treated to be a matter of refund only. All this, the entire thing. In all these situations, you will be having a need for a refund. That will be ending up in a refund. If you are exporting, maybe refund can be there. In the export also divisions are there. You pay the money IGST and get it refunded upfront. That's one point, without LUT. No sir, I do have LUT, but I have to collect my ITC. Okay, that's also possible there. Then you do have the deemed export. Platform again you will be treated in par with the export. You do have a case of SEZ supplies. You make supply to SEZ in the capacity of a supply. That is also zero rated only. Or you have supplies which are accepted by United Nations organizations or embassies, wherein United Nations embassies or the person eligible to claim refund, lot of explanations, confusions are happening there also. Then you may be having an appeal decision wherein you have to get your money refunded. So that is also possible there because of your refund order, or because of an appellate order which is reducing your liability, there may be a possibility of that. Or you first pay the penalty and interest and all because of the malfunction of the website. You go on an appeal and the High Court is responding to you in your writ petition saying that this person should be treated, a little peculiar case of this person should be treated in a different way. Try to see that whatever collected penalty and interest should be returned. So that may be warranting a refund actually. Or instead of paying under IGST, you might have paid CGST. Or instead of paying under SGST, by mistake you have paid under the state code. Or common error is instead of paying under SGST, you might have paid under CES. 80% of the cases which I could see there, this was the problem. But of course, I was also a little, what I can say, puzzled. How this uniform mistake is happening there in very lesser number of cases what I have seen, but uniformly why it is happening there. Then the website was reading in such a way that the next line is not that much so attractive, eye-attractive one actually. So then I have to write to them and say that why should not you introduce a different color at least? People can see that. In hurry he is paying. Because chartered accountant's life is only filled up with only two feelings. One, hurry, two, worry. That's all. Nothing more. So, if that is the case, why should not you give some color to these people so that it is colorful to exercise or not? At least the website can be colorful, right? So, it would, and they just modified in such a way that all the, maybe you could have seen, if you have closely observed, from August 23rd afternoon, you would have seen that, 2017, you would have seen that they made the presentation in such a way that the state's name will be mentioned clearly. Earlier they did not try to do that. Then they mentioned the state name itself in that one, and they can see it. So after that, I think the problem has come down. Now coming back to this one, inverted stack structure. We will discuss in detail when it comes that. But briefly to say, when your inward supply rate, I never use the word inward supply value. When your inward supply rate is higher, officially, and your outward supply rate, I am again using the word rate, not value, rate is less. Inward supply rate is more, outward supply rate is less. It is naturally going to make you to see that always ITC is keeping on accumulating. Under this situation, law is saying that you are in an inverted structure situation, you can come to get your refund of accumulated credit. That's what it says. In those cases, a refund is happening. Whether you are an exporter or not, you are a domestic person, that's another question. These two terms you please remember. I very carefully used and stressed also that I am using the word rate, not the value. Because at any point of time, value of the inward will be more and value of the outward will be high. That is not a problem at all. Rate. See, somebody is purchasing 18% input material only, or maybe 12% material only. Law is saying that 5% material outward. For some reason, finished goods is of his category is 5% with ITC. When he can use this differential ITC which is accumulating? Never. Lifelong it is keeping on going to increase. Those kind of people can go for inverter structure application itself. Then, final assessment. First there will be a provisional assessment as may be bilaterally accepted or may be compelled on you, I don't know, whatever it is. So then you will be going for a final assessment. You paid more money during provisional assessment, then within 6 months time they are passing a final order under GST law. The proper officer is saying that yes, I have collected a little more money, you are liable for only lesser money. The differential figure should be given to you as a refund. There refund arises. Or excess payment. You should pay some amount, wrongly you paid more amount. Wrongly. Don't know, some calculation wrong, it went wrong. You paid more. The money is there in your e-cash ledger. You need to get back it after proving it. In that case. Or pre-deposit. You make a pre-deposit in respect of some appeals. So that money is lying there, you win the case and you come back to the officer. You say, you are seeing that the officer is supposed to give you the refund because you have paid that as a deposit only. Of course, beyond 15 days, he has to pay you interest also, once the order is given to you. Then you may have some non-resident tourist related refund if you are a non-resident tourist. You come here, roam around, after your tourist time is over, you just go to the airport, customs officer doing the immigration process, subject to you producing the original invoice, giving you back the GST what you paid to India and happily say bye to you. That's also a situation where refund can be claimed. So, more or less, I think this is the complete list of what are all the kind of refunds in different sections. It's just spread over left to right in all sections and just comprehensively saying here. So, that is the case here. Now, before we go into the core aspects of refund, there is a need for quickly understanding simple basics. I am not at all underestimating your knowledge. I am just trying to see that very few or minority of you who will be having some kind of difficulty in understanding the basics. It's only presumption. I am not at all disrespecting your understanding. Let's just try to touch upon the basics and then we'll get into it. Those who are experts, maybe one majority is expert only. But in our country, what is majority, what is minority is a big confusion. Much of it is getting confused. And at the end of the day, who is majority, you don't know, they only is coming to the prominence actually. So those I am believing that who are minority here with lesser knowledge and beginners, may be a big person in our discussion latter part. So I don't want to disrespect them. Let's just cater to the need of them first and then we'll get into the list now. Then, zero rated supply. Section 16 of IGST Act in two limbs define what is the meaning of zero rated supply. If we are very clear about it, the discussion what is going to come after 2 slides will be very easy for you. We will spend exactly 45 seconds, not more than 45 seconds, and then we will move on to the other part. Zero rated supply means the one what you are making to, normally in a case where export of goods or services is happening, the export of service, export of goods or export of both also in a normal way. Please go to the section 11. Please read together with section 2, subsection 5 also. You will be able to understand what is the meaning of that. So that kind of export they are referring as zero rated supply. Secondly, supply of goods or services both to SEZ. If you are supplying to Indian SEZ unit, Indian SEZ developer, then there is all possibility of they paying you in INR only, possibly. Still, that will be treated as zero rated supply. But only thing is you need to see that you are supplying to. But have you seen a word, before I go to the next point, just have a look on the screen. This one? Any importance for that? If you assist me, I can just move to the next slide quickly. Any idea? Is there any importance for this word too?
Straight away to SEZ.
Straight away to SEZ. Okay. You don't want any intermediary, and such an intermediary should not say that I am giving a zero rate. My brother says that, sir, the meaning is very simple. Do you have the recipient as SEZ unit and developer or developer? Then you are zero rate. If you are a subcontractor of the contractor of SEZ, sir, why you are having a so lengthy, that is law. Law will be having that kind of things only, okay. But if you are a subcontractor of a contractor of a SEZ, then as a subcontractor, your recipient is contractor only, your recipient is not SEZ unit. Your recipient is not SEZ developer. If that's the case, you won't be able to fit yourself comfortably into section 16 subsection 2 and claim that you are doing a zero rated supply. You are doing a local supply to your contract. That's all, nothing more than that. It's true that you will be working day and night only in the SEZ premises physically. It's It's true that the contractor might not have visited the premises at all. It's true that you will be the only interface or the main face itself to the SEZ. Back-to-back contract would have been given to you. Fine, that's all there. This is a fact which you can just read in your mind. So subject, this is the simple definition, and we don't have much time to spend on this basic points actually. We will just quickly move to the other point actually.
Sir, here,
Please, sir.
supply to SEZ.
Ah.
So my question is,
Hmm.
SEZ, one SEZ supplying to another SEZ.
That is covered by your SEZ Act 2005, no? Section 26.
Is it still zero rated?
Section 26 is taking care of it. It is going beyond the this coverage of this itself actually. SEZ Act, Section 26, read together with Rule 52 or SEZ rules, is giving excellent immunity to you that from an area governed by one development commissioner of SEZ to another area of another development commissioner, it is going beyond that one. The super immunity is there actually. They made an amendment also, by 1st July 2017, not on the day, later, but was 1st July, to say that it is a safe transaction between SEZ to SEZ, not falling under this zone actually. That way. Now, how the LUT system was? What is LUT first of all? LUT is nothing but a guarantee what you are giving to President of India. You will be very, very proud. So you are giving guarantee to President of India. This local councillor, mayor, he will deal with the President. Our range is big, sir. So we will directly give one RFT 11, RFT 01, everything we will just give to the President. Mr. President, I am ready to see that the money is coming to me in foreign exchange as stipulated by this law within the given time by the regulator, namely the RBI. If I am not paying you, if I am not bringing you the money, if I am not following the provisions of this IGST law, I will assure you that I will pay you the money. For the time being, don't ask me money, I am very busy, I am an exporter. This is what you are writing there in your assurance, what you are writing. That form is called as LUT, nothing more. Yes, sir.
First LUT, we congratulated the person in office for writing to the president.
Nice. So, that is that. Now, what kind of LUT had been there is a little old story, we don't have time to spend on that one actually. So, but what you need to know is, if you are able to hold a valid LUT acceptance, I am saying LUT acceptance, I am not saying that you write LUT, keep it. If you are able to hold an LUT acceptance communication of the department, you can vociferously tell that I won't pay IGST because I am an exporter making zero rated supply. I am an exporter making zero rated supply. There is one section 16, subsection 3. Regarding this, I will be referring in the mostly by 36th or 37th slide of mine. We will come back to that at that time. Now coming back to this one. Now you don't have this. Now you don't have this. You have only the balance. If you want to do export, follow the LUT or LOU route, whatever you want, letter of undertaking route. You hold the LUT in your hand safely with acceptance, don't pay the tax. If you don't have, pay the tax, after that you get the refund also. That's the only setup what you are having. These two are not there, this is the present setup. Now coming to this one, we will have a quick discussion about the guidance given by the CBEC in this regard. Quick discussion, we don't have much time to spend on this because a lot of doubts may get emanated if I am failing to just refer here. We will spend about some 1 or 2 minutes and then we will go to the core area. Very few minutes only we can spend. Now, if you are having LUT on a priority basis, if you are doing this one, within short time of 3 days, they told it, nowadays it's all online actually, you do not bother, it will be coming to you. Holding LUT is a safe position. There are always some query from the assessee side, the taxpayer side, that for some reason administratively I failed to get your LUT. But what is the meaning of that LUT? What is the purpose of that LUT? You simply say that, as I was telling you, to the president himself, you are saying that I will get you a foreign exchange, I will move the goods in a formal way through customs clearance from India to a place outside India. I will comply with either section 2, subsection 5, or I will comply with section 11, subsection A, subsection 1. That's all you are trying to say, right? That I have done. You want a one-side A4 paper signed by with the green ink by the officer, or you want me to really comply with? What do you want? I complied with it. Maybe one single paper is not there, it's only a technical deficiency in my process. Why should not I be given the benefit in the absence of LUT if we have failed for some reason is a question. Without much directly conceding to the given situation. Still, by October 2017, and of course later also a circular was issued, the 35, circular number 35. There the CBEC told that in a lenient manner this problem can be considered on a case-to-case basis, that's all. They did not commit that if you are coming in the absence of LUT still claiming that you are a zero rated person and you won't pay IGST for your export of service or export of goods, such an absence of LUT may be dealt expediently by the officer. That's what they are told. This is not a right given to you, but rather it is a right given to the officer. Please remember. And whenever right is given to the officer, you know very well how you will exercise. I may not explain in detail actually. You know very well, because he is an officer who is trained in a different way. I am also a trainer, part of the scene is to me, of course, that is different. But not this way they have been trained. Because they are trained so. They cannot accept so easily. If they are so easily accepting, they are not fit to the position. So you go there and ask an officer, sir, I am eligible for this exemption. No. Sir, there is one circular in favor of me. No. Sir, there is one bigger appointment given. No. Sir, you are a very intelligent officer. No. By default, for everything, he has to refuse. So he doesn't know what you are talking at all, and for everything he say no. So problem is, if you are going to an officer and say that this kind of legal interpretation, their own circular and all, if you are going and showing to them, rightly you cannot argue that, sir, there is no LUT. Still I am eligible for this. Give me a status of zero rate supplier. They won't, they may not. So this is not a right. So though whoever is consulting to your clients who may be coming with this kind of report, may please tell that this is not a right given to us. It's only a right given to the officer. At his discretion, he will be doing anything as he wishes. So it is not workable. In practice, no LUT, better pay. If you have LUT, prospectively use the presence of the LUT. That's highly advisable. Rest of all the discussions, all kind of interpretation, issues raised by you are all really subject to debates, subject to interesting court cases. Not here. In practice, it won't work. Now, this one. LUT, I have to collect if I have to do what I should do. If you are having 1 minute and 20 seconds in your busy life, you can get your LUT. 1 minute and 20 seconds. If you want, of course, I am not having an online connection now. If you are having one LUT request, 80 seconds if you spend enough, you will get it. Less than the time what you can make, what you will be requiring to make one jaggi noodles. I cannot say the commercial name. So less than that actually. And this is screen number 1. You log into that, see this one. So go into the services, user services, select the LUT. 2. Get into this. The pre-filled form is coming there. Your job is mostly nil. If you are fortunately or otherwise already having one LUT for the previous year, say for example now it is 18-19, if you are already having an on 17-18 LUT obtained by you manually, just scan the copy and attach it. That's all. You would have already scanned it, I presume. You click it, you attach it. After attaching it, you are going to get this response. This is what I did. For your refund process, this is very important for a major category. So if you understand this, we can easily move to the refund related discussions and all. But sir, I have a doubt. You told that you will be telling about some letter of undertaking, but it reads that there is an acknowledgement for LUT. What is this? This is what that. That's all, nothing more than that. It comprises one ARN, happily use this, that's all. As I told you, it will take less than 2 minutes time. Exactly if you want, you check, it will be 1 minute and 20 seconds. Would you like to dispute this particular part? Would you like to avoid this 80 seconds and would you like to spend 80 months in court of law is a simple question. Practically, better please do this. You can easily do the work. That's all the thing. It's not costing anything at all, free of cost. Just take easily. No need to go to any officer, no need to get it attested by any person, nothing. It is your LUT accepted, that's all. The ARN itself is acting as an acknowledgement. On 6/4/2018, there was a circular issued by the CBEC which was clearly telling that there is no need to file any kind of manual papers, nothing is required there, it is enough. Whoever you are, last year track record is there or not, last year you earned foreign exchange or not, last year you had been a big man, small man, trading house or not, nothing, file, get, happily go, that's all. Thereafter you can prospectively do your zero rated supply without any kind of taxes. Now we will come to our core here. These basics may be reasonably bringing you better comfort level, I presume. With this background, we are getting into the discussion. Why I did not get my refund of IGST paid by me on export? Maybe with payment payment or maybe without payment. With payment, WPAY option. Without payment, WOPAY option. What is reading there in the website actually, their language. Yes, you have to talk in the language of the lawmaker. You cannot talk in your language because they have their own language. In the world, several languages are there. English, Spanish, French, lawman language. Lawman language is different. You need to talk in his language only, then only you will understand. It is very difficult to change his style actually. Coming to this one, where is the problem? What kind of common problems we are facing? Either WPA system or WOPA system. What is the problem actually? First biggest problem, of course, this was having an impact to the extent that they had to appoint 7 officers to attend throughout India a call, and that was to be done with the server specifically. They appointed officers to attend only this problem. Throughout India, they are just, throughout India, whatever problems relating to this arena, they are collecting in one place. In a centralized manner, they are giving the solution. You can just have a look on this one. If you are supplying to SEZ, I told that as per section 16 subsection 2, that should be treated as zero rated supply subject to safeguard condition limitations, whatever it is. Now, if your recipient is SEZ, if you are supplying to him sincerely, your supply is finding a place in his authorized operation list also fortunately. If he is paying the amount well in time, that is you are receiving normally. Everything is perfect. You are filing your GSTR 3B in time, mentioning this transaction under para 3(1) small b clearly for the month. You are mentioning this transaction under GSTR 1 under para 6 capital B properly. Everything properly. Then why something is going wrong? First problem and the basic problem itself is the concerned SEZ, little lethargic guy, has not seen that his status is mentioned in the site as SEZ unit itself. It is reading regular, status regular. While migrating or otherwise, he has just lethargically missed out this point and he has not selected the SEZ unit status when he registered himself. When he is not SEZ unit, as I already told you, you have to understand the machine language. If the machine is not able to understand the human being, at least human being should understand the machine. What to do? No options. Either of this should happen to you. No. Fine. So now you have to understand the machine. What the machine understands is 33 AAPK 1 2 3 4 Z 1 ZE is a supplier. 33 AKPK 1 2 3 4 1 ZT is the recipient. How inside the state from 33 to 33, intra-state transaction can happen. Interstate transaction, how it can happen, it is not able to understand. From 33 to 33, wrong. 33 to 33, wrong. What you are compelled to do in hurry, you are pushing that matter to B2B. If on your own, if you are pushing this matter to B2B, where is the question of getting the refund? So, whenever you get this kind of error, in the month of July, they did not have the paragraph for SEZ at all. So, at that time, if you had any faced problem, now there is no point in telling that, but at that time, if you are facing the problem, the only way out for you is to select code number 97, other territory, at that time. But later, on August 23rd, by afternoon, they corrected the system wherein you are eligible to see that whether they are SEZ or not by punching this. It reads that he is not an SEZ at all. It scores you back. When you are trying to say that he is an SEZ, I am doing that, he is not SEZ at all, why are they troubling you? That's what the system says back to you. So what's happening there in this matter is, you are not able to establish the recipient to be a SEZ unit. What you should do? They have given a separate mail ID for this purpose. In this mail ID, they are attending this kind of matters only, wherein if you are having any issue, you try to see that you are giving these details clearly. 1. From your official registered mail ID, this complaint should go out. 2. You should try to see that a readable, legible copy of SEZ certificate you are attaching that in the mail. 3. You are trying to see that you are mentioning voluntarily your registered phone number in the mail itself, so that they will be contacted. They are calling. They are not just like the proceeding. They are calling for some other classification, some PAN number card, sometimes they are asking, they are calling. So better to give that number. And this one should be sent to reset.sez@gst.gov.in. Please send to this mail ID. From 19th March 2018 morning, this is very effectively working. Specifically I am saying, because That much pain I have seen, that's it. That I can share with you directly. So from that day it's working very effectively, they are very serious. And sometimes when they are overloaded with this, there will be a problem. This live example I am just showing to you. You will be able to see here such a kind of mail sent by somebody. You can see reminder 12. Okay, reminder 12, 1, 2. 12th reminder only they were able to sit and separate this. There had been some problem, technical problem. So there had been situations actually. From 19th March, they have started to do a little more seriously. They are working well. You can believe that if you are sending that, maybe within 4 to 5 working days, they will separate the status of the SEZ. So please try to see that when you are filing the return, because return filing is not a ritual where any person who is not qualified, any person who doesn't know the law can do. This is not good at all actually. Those, even in your office also, if you feel that some of your assistants are doing it, please classify the assistants who are suitable, qualified, trained duly for the purpose of filing GST return, and then allow them. It involves your name, your pride actually. So those who are not good in this law may kindly not permitted to file the return even on behalf of you in your practicing of this sector. Because this is not just like just filing something. Because these messages are giving a big kind of inputs. Right in the initial stage, if you are able to avoid it, you will be saving a lot of time actually. Now coming back to this one. That's what I was telling you. There's a reminder number 12. Then only it came back. But hereafter you don't have that kind of problems and all. Now, we will move to the next point. What kind of problems I face? Where the real issue is there. Then what kind of problems I face will control. Why I am not getting the refund? I want to have some kind of acceptable scientific reply. I should get the refund. Why I am not getting it? First problem. Export invoices filed in table 6 capital A of GSTR 1. You know very well it's all related to export related details. I did not have information of shipping bill number or wrong shipping bill number. And shipping bill date. Shipping bill date will be reading DD, MMM, YYYY format. If you are putting in Ulta in American style, it happens. We have seen also what all has been done by the assessees who are not able to get it. If you are putting in Ulta saying that DDD, I don't know what is the DDD. Why? That itself is a hint actually. Why you should put 013 as a date? Not necessary at all. So in those cases, because some softwares what has been used by some of the people, or again software engineer, knowledge, you please go back to the story and come back here again to the topic. This is how it will happen. So in these cases, there is a big problem. It is not able to match. Auto refund system, which is very nicely been planned, could not be done because of these simple issues what you are able to see. Fourth code. There is all similarity of, let me say, Cochin and Kakinada code, what is given there. It's an international coding system actually. What is accepted by the World Customs Organization, WCO. And they are giving a code number for each port actually. The code number should be punched. But the problem here is the code numbers are after all 6 digit numbers only. There is all possibility of they getting slightly resembling. One will be looking akin to another. So if you are by mistake punching it, you exported through Kakinada port, you are claiming here as Cochin port, the machine is not able to understand. In Cochin nobody is exported like this. In Kakinada somebody exported there. So exported person is not saying that I only exported. The same person is saying that in Cochin, from Cochin port I exported, but machine is not able to get any data there. IceGet.ui.in is getting confused. Where is this guy? He is not applying at all. Put on hold. If you don't know anything to proceed further, you put on hold. That's all the system. Now the system is simply followed. Yes, I don't know. It's just putting a stop on. Now, if that is the case, please go back to your errors. What is happening? Sir, this is error, I understand, sir. What is the solution? I did, yes, shipping bill wrongly, I typed that. Shipping bill date wrongly, I typed that. Port code wrongly, I typed. Yes, I agree. Having done that, what is the remedy for? What is the solution for? Simple. You can always go to table 9 and try to see that you are correcting in the subsequent. Subsequent month, which subsequent? Any subsequent month, what is available in your hand. Go to table 9 of GSTR 1, you will be able to correct it where possible. Coming to this one, total IGST payable through export invoices specified under table 6A of GSTR 1, total IGST, what you have paid through the GSTR 1. Is not specified correctly in para 3(1) small b of GSTR. You put under 3(1)A, which is a regular domestic business. You put under 3(1)C, exempted or something like that. You just put that. But you want the machine to understand that it is a zero-rated transaction. When you file 3B, you will tell the machine that this is not a zero error transaction, I will not fill up in 31B. When you file GSTR1, you will identify that and you will put correctly that because you want refund. You will put correctly under the, maybe under table 6A for exporter, table 6B for SEZ. But you want the machine to understand and you will be very unhappy with that. Why this stupid machine is not understanding? That's a problem. So, if that is the case, wherever there is a difference between 3.1b and para 6b, respectively of GSTR 3b and GSTR 1, there comes a problem seriously. Fine, this is the problem, sir. What is the solution for this? Simple. Here also, as I was telling you, a big solution has come last evening. It is not even exactly 24 hours old solution. It's very fresh solution given to you. Para 3.1a, 3.1b and 3.1c shall be read together by the machine to understand the IGST amount, whether it is matching to the IGST or at least you are claiming lesser IGST as the refund for the purpose of this, at least. So welcome decision, only thing is much belated. Several times we have written to the officials. They were not able to comprehensively understand the issue involved. Taxpayers are wrongly paying, you have to control them, is fine, okay, but you should have a system where you have to prevent them at the time of punching it. So the validity of the data should be prevented or verified at the time itself. If you are not able to get in the validated data through any mechanism, wrong data is bound to come inside. And it used to happen there. It's a big country with some 1.1 crore SSCs, and part of them not filing, part of them wrongly filing, part of them knowingly and intentionally, confusingly filing. All things are happening there. So you can try to see that this is corrected. We told now they are corrected. Yesterday evening, notification number 45/9/2018, dated 35/2018 has come out, which reads very clearly that 3.1a, 3.1a, 3.1b, 3.1c together which you will understand, compare with the IGST what you are claiming here and understand that yes, 20,000 IGST, 20,000 rupees of IGST you paid as per 3B and 18,200 rupees only you are claiming for the purpose of export, which is less than that, but okay, balance may be relating to domestic IGST, it will understand. So, your problem is mostly solved in this case to a greater extent as far as this issue is concerned. And as I was telling you, sometimes it is less, that is also now getting addressed as I told you in the same circle. The taxpayer mentioned the LUT under shipping bill, whereas declare such export as IGST paid under GST system. W pay, he is saying. Actually the matter is WOP, that is the matter. Without payment, using LUT, he has exported the goods. But he is clearly punching the details as he is doing this with payment. How the system will understand? It won't come out. Naturally it won't come. It is mismatching actually. So there is another serious reason of this kind that whoever is doing the practice of this, please educate your juniors that this is the reason why these problems are happening there. Either you be careful, have some kind of system, or you just see that you are waiting it and then allowing the return to be filed actually. Because again I am reiterating, return filing is not a clerk's job. No more it is clerk's job, it is professional job. Serious professional's job actually. Then, solutions partly we already discussed actually. Correction in the form will be happening there in 9A. Using that one you can do it. A lot of solutions have already come there for the problems what I told between 3B and this. That is that. 3B correction can be done there in the subsequent 3B also. That's perfectly okay. Only thing is the process will not happen automatically. We need to convince a lot and then we go to do it. We are EOU or we are inside the SEZ as unit or developer. Do we have any special provision for tax-free exports or do we have special provision for any refund? Exporter is after all an exporter. You be EOU, you be SEZ, you be something else also. After all, exporter is exporter. Equality for everybody. You can claim refund. Very clearly I am telling you. You can claim refund. Whether you will get refund or other way around. You can claim refund. That's all. So for everybody the same situation. So you cannot have your own status and say that a refund is to be done in a different manner. You cannot say. For everybody the system is the same. Then, having said this, we need to move to other part of that. All this time we have been telling that, okay, with payment or without payment, common problems are there. Specifically, without payment cases are having their own problem. Why I am not able to get the refund of accumulated ITC? Please remember, I have very sincerely tried on day one of the business itself, or a little more also, a little early also, because it is permitting that 30 days before the year also you can make an application for LUT. So you made application perfectly on, let me say, 25/3/2018 itself. From 1/4/2018, a pakka LUT acceptance holder you are. You start your business, do the process, and accumulate your ITC. Make an application. Why I am not getting the ITC properly reflected, properly refunded? What's my problem? So for that, what we need to do is to have a quick look on the screenshots which are going to come there in the next 8 slides. Quick review, not every detailed one. Few points only we need to know, then we can discuss those points. Now, this one, a normal one. This is how it will be looking, you know very well. We are just checking that, can I claim a refund? You just go inside and check it out. What kind of liability is there? What kind of refund is possible there? You have a look on this. Electronic cash ledger is showing something. Electronic credit ledger is showing something. I can claim this. You try to see. Okay, you noted. So, first assurance what you need is, as an exporter holding valid LUT during the tax period, do I have closing balance of credit ledger, electronic credit ledger? This is the simplest question. You do have. Whether it is sufficient to meet your demand, you want to claim 10,000 rupees as per your version. Whether the credit is there, yes, it is about some 11,000 rupees is there. Okay, fine, I am claiming 10,000. Or at least 10,000 rupees I claim, 10,000 rupees is there. Eligible for 10,000, available is also 10,000. Okay, I can claim. This is the basic thing what you are saying. Then, having seen that one, you move to this screen actually. In this, you are able to see that what are all the possibilities. It's only a saved file actually. I'm just showing you after saving. Yes, without saying if I'm saving, if I'm showing it will only a blank file actually. You will not be able to see that. These are all the queries. They give 15 days time to keep your draft what you have punched. You can keep your draft. Safely you can have it. Within this 15 days time, whatever modification you want to do, you do. You can do. Nothing wrong with it. But what you need to note is, if you would like to see that at least on 15th day it is filed, you file it. If you don't want to lose the painful punching of data going out, you try to see that a small modification you do and then come out, another 15 days it will be there. Simple. We will always find out some way out, because you are punching some data you are not having. See, for example, I tell you what are all the issues which are making you to save, revisit all this, etc. I will just say. Because it's very difficult in practice for some of the information to be collected. For example, EGM, Export General Manifesto is asked, it is asked, let me say. Some data of this shipping bill, somewhere your seal of agent is not supported. He gives out a scanned copy wherein you are not able to see the shipping bill number. The 8 is looking to be 0, 0 is looking to be B, 2 is looking to be 5, 3 is looking to be 8, something is happening there. I don't know what kind of quality is there in this shipping bill. They have to take some little more care. Even they can charge a custom shipping bill says for everything you charge 1 rupee at least. But you give us some good readable shipping bill. For the past 15 to 20 years I am seeing that why that printout of shipping bill alone is of poor quality we don't. With the best quality photocopier also you do photocopying, the third copy will be nasty. You will not read anything at all. You need to scan and send that scan. This is our only quality. That quality only is a readable one. Beneath it, a little down, what's all. Next copy you will not read. I don't know what for they are printing that way. Fine. Anyway, coming back to this one. In these cases, you will be requiring this kind of some inputs to be received by you. You cannot just like that punch the data and immediately in one go you can do it. Not in all cases, but most of the cases. If that is the case, you can save the data, will be there for 15 days safely. You can save and come out, again you can go there and modify, save and come out, whatever. But please don't forget, 15 days untouched data will vanish. Go and do some touching. Delete the number, type the number, come out, it will be safely there. You can avoid redoing the work actually. Right. Having done that, you go to the next slide. This is how you are starting the process. Are you able to see this? This screen is coming there. You are filing RFD 01A. RFD 01 is the normal form. They were to bring in on an automated basis. Manual intervention was required there. They brought in as RFD 01A so that you will be able to comply with rule number 89, rule number 96, especially 96 subsection 10, and also you will be complying with 54.3 A, B, C, D, E, F, G. All these things you can comply with. But manual intervention will be required. That is the reason why it is there. Now this kind of form is opening there. Preliminary information, what you have to file is looking like this. So you have to fill up this basic detail. Most of the things are auto-populated actually. You may not do anything except the 3 columns. You are not having serious work actually. Now, this is coming there. This is where you need to take a little more care actually. You can be able to see here a statement 3 which is reading there. Statement 3. You will, I hope the last row is able to read. So it is reading that if you want, you can use the offline utility. There is one JSON file, JSON file, JSON file. It is something like your Excel file. You know it. I don't want to underestimate your knowledge. Such a file is readily available there, which is having the related columns readily there. You can fill the data and insert that. The system will adopt it and get inside that. Now the problem here is, as I was telling you, it asks your shipping bill number, date, EGM details, bill of lading related details, all it is asking. It is not asking your ration card, passport and all. That's all. All it is asking. What you did as an exporter, tell me. So all you have to match. If any column is not filled up, it shows an error message. That's another nuisance sector. So you need to fill it up and see that it is going inside properly. Then always a regular question is that, sir, if EGM detail is not there, shall I put a 999999? Is it okay? We always see, it is an Indian mentality. Sir, this is due date. Within the due date you have to file. If I am not filing, what will happen, sir? Sir, this is one way, you should not go. If I am going, what will happen, sir? Invariably you should know what will happen if you are violating the provision of law. Why?
Plan B.
Plan B. No, that's much often plan A itself is that. So, therefore, always this question. See, please understand, you are playing with your own refund actually. The system should understand such a EGM was there, such a shipping bill was there, such a port was there, such an export really happened there. It should understand. Because it is a system. It is a system which you need to understand. It is not you understanding or it is not the officer understanding, it is a different one. This is a system. That's not having any brain at all. It can just recognize the number. So please don't take any chance, and after filing for the sake of filing, it is not coming, why it is not coming, it is not coming, why it is not coming, that much often it is not going to come at all. So please collect the related data and fill it up. As I told you, fill up the other data also. If you are having any constraint to collect this kind of data, nothing wrong in it, save the data, keep it readily with you for this particular tax period, collect that one, put the JSON inside and then go inside. You will be able to see that it is processed duly. Coming to this one, the turnover in respect of zero rated supply, there is one bigger number. Earlier it was given there as line wise actually, they are giving one big box now, that's all. For the past 3.5 months, this big box, you can type the big box, the number, the monthly or the quarterly turnover, tax period number you can type. Then after leaving one, that is okay, second, there is one adjusted one. What is this adjusted turnover? They say that zero rated turnover is here, but exempted turnover is not here. Adjusted taxable turnover, they refer to the definitions also. They say that zero rated turnover counted, taxable turnover counted, naturally of course. But exempted turnover will not come here. Now the assessee is asking, if I am doing an export of exempted goods, whether your farm is coming to say that it is not zero rated. Law is saying it is zero rated. If I am exporting paddy, which may not be falling under this, or if I am exporting printed books, chapter number 40, it's only exempted, that's okay, fine, let it be. It is maybe nil rated, that may be. But if I am doing that, or let me say I am exporting flowers, natural flowers, where somewhere, maybe to Sri Lanka, maybe to Maldives, which is nearby, that evening itself they can consume that. So I am selling it, I am exporting the flowers. Maybe chapter number 6, saying that nil. If I am doing that one, it may be nil rated, it may be exempted goods. But as long as export related provisions of section 11 is complied with, along with the foreign exchange inward condition, certainly it is zero rated. Because law is accepting that even exempted goods supply outside India, subject to the provisions, certainly will make that as a zero rated supply only. If law itself is saying, why a farm making, website designing person saying that it is not zero rated? It will not be forming part of this. Why is it? So they have made some modifications and all and brought here that except this you can punch this number. Now moral of the story is this. If you are having a number in this area, what you are able to see in the big box, leftmost big box, first big box you are seeing zero rated, 1 crore rupees for example. If you are having adjusted turnover 1 crore rupees, for example, he is fully out and out 100% export oriented way. Fully. Under export only. He is respecting only the foreign customers. He is only dealing with the foreign customers, only foreign exchange. no Indian dealing. Such a customer, zero rated is 100%, adjusted turnover is 1 crore rupees. So 1 crore to 1 crore, whatever you are trying to claim as ITC, eligible. Whatever you are trying to claim as ITC, eligible. Subject to your e-credit ledger. Naturally, e-credit ledger will be having that number. Naturally, because you are an exporter, you might not have used the money. Even for RCM also, you will not use it because you are paying out of pocket. So the money will be there, you will claim the refund. That's normal. In a different case, yeah, zero rated turnover of, let me say, 1 crore is there, and adjusted turnover of, let me say, 2 crore is there. What will be the result of it? Effectively, 50% of that one will be coming as ITC. Effectively. Because that is working out that way one. There are a lot of issues faced by the different industries. In the next few slides, we will just see and then come back to this. So this is how it is working. By and large, as I was telling you, if you are punching these numbers rightly, what the credit you are having, you will be able to get. This screen comes next. The amount eligible for refund. It reads, integrated tax so and so, you will be eligible for this amount. As you have already seen in this screen number 2 of this particular series of slides, I told you that there is an amount available to me. This I may be able to claim as refund because I am having in the credit. That is what done. So I am able to claim the refund. And you go to the next slide. This kind of last but one slide, one page is coming there. You are supposed to select your already given, it's already there in the site, you have updated your, during your migration time or registration time, you are supposed to select your bank account. Generally you would have given only one bank account, that you will be able to click easily. That is telling that when you give the refund through this bank account to me. This is a message what you are giving to that. So having said that, you are going to the last page of this. So you have to give a tick mark that you are making a declaration, whatever you are given there is true and correct, and you are going to see that you are saving, and then you are going to click, after saving you are going to click the proceed, then it is going to get inside. After it goes inside, you are getting one, that part I am not able to show you, this I have to physically do that. If you are clicking it, it will be showing that successfully filed RMD 01A, your ARN is this one. This is the process what you are having. Now as I told you, the problem is coming there when you are filing the statement 3 or statement 3A. There you are in there. You have to collect the data which are matching really. In case of export of goods, additional care is required. Export of services, limited care. Export of goods, and I can sincerely request you, please revisit the fees chart what you are having to your client. My sincere request. Because much often you don't used to revisit at all the receivable itself, and the list of receivable itself. That is different one, and a very unfortunate one. But when at least you charge those who are practicing Chartered Accountant coming here, please revisit that one. What a painful work it is and time-taking work it is. You cannot believe your assistant, you have to see that he has trained a lot actually. And the client will not be giving the information well in time also. This is the biggest problem actually. Subject to few exceptions, you have only 3 big enemies to the practicing Chartered Accountant. Subject to few exceptions. I am just with a disclaimer or with caution only I am just telling you. First enemy, client. Second enemy, client. Third enemy is also client. That's all. No other, please.
told that we have to fill the actual amount received from export.
Ah.
First of all.
Ah.
Is that right?
No, sir. See, you are definitely going to receive. See, for example, sir, this month you did the turnover. Next month itself it is opening to you this one. Next month you will not receive it. You will be having 4 months time for them to send the money also in foreign exchange. It may not come. That's okay. But only thing is you can fill it up. When you are trying to get the refund, he is definitely going to ask you BRC and FARC. That is going to ask. You can fill it up. Not a problem at all. Let it be, the process be started actually. But he is asking the FARC and BRC definitely. We'll come to that. That point is, what are all the annexes I'm going to tell separate.
But sir, in statement 3 also it is asking.
Asking. BRC is asking. That's what I told you. No, you can find some detail and file.
But it is not mandatory.
Not mandatory. That's why I'm saying. That is why I'm saying that without that you can file it. But as it is not asking, I'm not going to furnish BRC. If you say, it will not be workable because manually is going to verify and then he is going to ask. But this EGM column, shipping bill column are mandatory. You will not be able to miss. That's why I'm saying. FARC column you may leave. That's okay. Or you may bunch some number what you want. But you have to furnish it when you are really going to get the process done. Now, so the problem here is the client may not be giving you, as a practicing Chartered Accountant, you will not be supportable. So you save some data, wait for him, again recall when you are opening the form and get back to the same status and then check it out. No, that day I asked this one, then he gives it. So he is having selective amnesia, the client. He will remember what he wants. He will definitely not remember, especially your fees, he will not remember. Other things and all he will remember. So that's a problem with the universal problem with the client actually. So please see that you are revisiting this area. It's my humble suggestion. Coming to the next part of that one, we'll take up the serious questions related to this particular aspect actually. What are all the questions, otherwise questions are there? Lot of issues are there. It may be very difficult to list out all the problems actually, but we'll see the major items. Whether compensation cess, what is paid as per the Compensation Act by you, is available as a refund. When you are a recipient, you pay the compensation. Say for example, you buy coal. You pay compensation cess to the vendor who is selling you. Yes, it happens. He imports and he just says to you, the first round is costing you the cess. You sizably you make the payment towards that one, and the compensation cess is there. Having done that one, you may be in aluminium industry, you may be in iron and steel industry, you may be something. Your product outward is iron and steel, your product outward is aluminium castings or something like that. There you know very well for the aluminium castings or maybe for your iron and steel items and all, you don't have cess. So the finished goods are not subjected to compensation cess, but the input material, namely the coal or something like that, is liable to compensation cess. But the compensation cess what you are paying, whether eligible as refund or not, is a question. Why this question is arising is, if you read section 11.2 along with section 8 of Compensation Act, you will be getting a meaning that what are all the provisions relating to the refund, regulating, billing, amount, officer, assessment, judgment, demand, collection, appeal, all these things are all are applicable for this also mutatis mutandis. In other words, the Compensation Cess Act is adopting the regular CGST, IGST provisions normally. So you get a doubt that under IGST law, if I am able to get the refund, should not be a case of this also. I am not able to collect the money and I am trying to export this. How I can be denied about this actually? I should be able to get the refund is the possible question actually. The problem what we have to note here, technically, seriously, what you need to note here is, compensation cess is collected whenever input material is coming. That is true, of course. You are taking it out. It reads very clearly in the section itself. There is no need for notification to prevent that ITC actually. It reads very clearly that this can be used only for the purpose of this only. So take ITC of this, use ITC of this, never this ITC is equivalent to the ITC of any other GST. This is different. This is not, this is horse, that is donkey. Won't come together. So if that's the case, whenever possible, make use of ITC. If not possible, treat it as an expense for you and write it up also if you want. If you don't have any need at all for in future, then just treat it as a cost. But we will not give refund. Who says, of late about some 10 months we have been fighting with the department, then finally they say, yesterday, not much like, just about 24 hours plus. Yesterday, no, we are not ready. That you could have already told me. We will not take this much time and tell this. But at least now they are told. Then, you have this GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 shall not be applicable to compound levy party. That already is filing some GSTR 4. How he is going to file this. That also he is filing quarterly basis. That is different one. Or it will not be applicable to one non-resident. They may be filing, or it may not be applicable to one ISD party. He is filing GSTR 6, he is filing GSTR 5A, something is filing. But the problem here is in practice, you are not able to claim the refund at all for these parties. What the system is asking, did you file GSTR 3B? Did you file GSTR 1? How I have to file? How to file? I did not tell at all. You only told that I have a separate form. I should file. I am filing it. Suddenly if you are coming and asking this, what I can do? Assessor is not able to understand it. So, this problem had been there. So, and in fact the circular unfortunately issued in 21st December 2017 was wrongly telling that everybody should be filing GSTR 1 and 3B, then only they will be eligible. So you only tell that file GSTR 4, then why you only saying that GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 should be filed? Why I should file? So there was a big confusion and the system was not allowing us. Now of late graciously officer has come out and said that yes, I am sorry, you should not be troubled with this one. You need not file GSTR 1, you file your regular forms only. Still you will be eligible. My system is going to understand hereafter. We will make the modification. So hope that the modification will be there and whatever. You can ask me one question. Sir, why are the question of compounding levy dealer or ISD, input service distributor or any non-resident person is going to claim the refund? He may be having some excess payment also. He may be having some other wrong payment paid in this other thing also. He may be having some kind of wrong payment under the wrong code also, possibly. May be there. So if that's the case, it will be there. So If that is the case, there is all possibility of getting refund, that also. And here, last but one item. Whether LUT or bond or whatever it is, what is required there for the purpose of zero rated, exempted and non-GST goods are there. Should I require this bond or should I require this? It is again another question. Yes, with payment or without payment is an option actually. For them also it is coming. He is getting confused. Would you like to? Because the office is asking. Sir, this is how we have been practicing. Yes, he has been given a style of work. That is what that has been the one. He is given a checklist. He is following that one. He doesn't know that whether the product is exempted or not. He is asking the same checklist and same question to the person who is claiming the refund. The officer's style is that. It is something like that black cat story. So you have to tie the black cat. That's what the problem. Or else there is a black cat. First to bring the black cat, then only it. That's the same way. You have to get the refund. Where is to get the refund? You give me the LUT is a question. So off late again, by this circular 45/2018 dated 35/2018 yesterday, they have told that no, that is not warranted at all. If you are a person who is doing the dealing in the in respect of goods which are exempted or maybe non-GST goods, and if you are making zero rated supply within the meaning of section 16 of IGST Act, you need not require LUT. You need not require any kind of LUT. Without LUT, you still do a zero rated turnover. If you are having any refund claim, without that, your option will be reading that as WP or WOPA. That's not a problem. Right? You can file your forms. You need not have any problem. Hereafter the problem will be solved, we believe. Then you have the last one. As we already discussed. I am having exempted goods. Let it be any goods. Maybe a chapter 40 printed book, maybe a chapter 6 flowers which are natural flowers, maybe any exempted item of any kind, of under any category. If we are exporting it, it is definitely subject to all the conditions. Read if it is a section 11 item. Read that one. If all complaints are there, certainly it is a zero rated item. And for that goods, if you are having any ITC accumulated, certainly you are having eligibility actually. Subject to the provisions of this, after all are refundable only. You can make refund of, you can claim for the refund of that. This is the question. Now, the next point we need to discuss is this one. A lengthy set of items have been referred here. That is, you do have a rule number 9610, subsection 10. It gives some kind of a restriction actually, referring to few circulars and few notifications. If you are purchasing, if you are receiving the goods from somebody, if the supplies are accepted by you from somebody, who are enjoying the benefit of certain notifications, you are not supposed to claim the IGST paid by you as a refund. This is a question. So a lot of queries have been raised that how to monitor this, number one. How I will be liable for seeing that I am doing this. By mistake, if I am doing it, you will be classifying me under a fraudster and maybe under section 122 you will issue notice and penalize me also. How it is fair for me is the question actually. They come out with a clarification very clearly saying that rule number 96 subsection 10 is talking about a different situation wherein, see number 1, 48/2017 CT, October 2017 notification, which was talking about section 147 deemed export related notification. And we will just discuss briefly by step, just briefly and then. 40/2017 or 41/2017 CTR, these are all the notifications which are talking about the purchase by an exporter at a concessional rate. So if that is the case, maybe that 0.0505 etc. or 0.1% of IGST case, if that is the case, you are purchasing, he is exporting. Next, if you are doing whenever what I can say, you are purchasing from somebody who is following customs notification 78/2017 or 79/2017 dated 13th October 2017. Should be read together with 53/2003 dated 31/3/2017 customs, non-tariff. There in para number 3, 4, 5 and 7 if you read in notification number 52/2013, it reads very clearly that whenever goods are coming to the warehouse at the time, it was stated, under section 57 and 58 of customs law at the time, the customs related nuisance will not be there for you in both sides actually. In line with the same, the notification number 78/2017 and 79/2017 respectively reading that there will not be levy of any kind of countervailing duty, SGST, safeguarding duty or ADD, anti-dumping duty for these matters. That's how it is. So warehousing related exoneration from the customs or exemption from the customs is the subject matter actually. You know well there had been some developments in warehouse related matters. Now we will see one by one. Just this is the brief of that one. It needed a few seconds we will be studying for each items. Then we will close the discussion. Here, whatever be this, these are all the notification under which a supplier is benefited. Fine. Such a supplier is supplying to you. Fine. Whether you can claim the benefit of IGST paid and refund claim is a question. You cannot claim. You don't claim an IGST paid case on the exported goods supplied outside. You don't claim. What is the reason why it is so? To understand that, you can quickly have a look on these items, then you can close the discussion. Now, in this case, no need to see that and see me immediately. There may be some resemblance, a lot of big differences there, I believe. At least my spouse is loving a lot actually. Somebody is seeing that and immediately coming to me, and then again going to the screen actually. First I have to change this picture, right? Well, here the exporter is benefited by not paying the GST. That you know very well, because he is having the letter of undertaking, happily he is doing it. But what is the use for a supplier, or what is the benefit for a supplier in turn who is supporting the exporter? Is a question. At that time only this notification 13 October 2013 came there. These are reading that if you are a supporting merchant of exporter of goods, I am clearly using the word exporter of goods. I never told that exporter of services. So if you are a supporting merchant of an exporter of goods, by giving him the material which are directly going to be imported, or by giving the input material which are going to be identifiably forming part of the exported goods, then they are giving some kind of exemption. 44 2017, 41. What they say is a nominal rate of 0.05% of CGST, 0.05% of SGST you pay in case of intra-state transaction. If such a supporter is coming there from a foreign state, and foreign state means other contiguous state, and giving you the material, then, yes, I should not use the foreign state word at all. Already for river water also we are not working to be in unison actually. Fine, anyway, coming back to this. So if that is the case, if supporting it, then IGST will be 0.1% levied there. So in this case, as an exporter, you are benefited from buying from somebody who is having a right to supply at a lower rate. So such a type of buyer or recipient, number one. Next, if you are having this kind of cases, deemed export matters under section 147, this got notified by notification number 48/2017 CTR. So what it says is, if you are supplying the goods, if there is a supply of goods by a registered person against the advance authorization, if there is a supply of goods against the EPCG work. So what is the purpose of this, you can easily understand, so that the main point I can go back again, because it will be a little difficult to comprehensively remember. I have to see that all the 4 slides what I am explaining to you are staying in your mind at least for next 3-4 minutes, then only I can go back to the other slides. Please take the pain. Already you are taken pain of listening to me for 1 hour 10 minutes. Will you not take the pain of 4 minutes? You will. Now, coming back to this one, the supply of goods which is happening there by somebody in case of authorization. Advance authorization guy is a person who is having the authorization to purchase the goods, import the goods at a better concessional level actually. He is given the CM related model and all to the officer properly, and the DGST officer is saying that this much material you can purchase, this much material on the license you can import from the foreign country. So he is going to enjoy the duty free inward and duty free export of that using the same. If that is the case, this guy is certainly going to buy from a foreign country. It is true that he is not paying GST, the importer. But equally it is true that he is going to send the foreign exchange outside India. Please remember. In case of advance authorization, the person is going to send the foreign exchange outside India for purchasing the input material. Of course, later he will export after a gap of time, and then foreign exchange will come inside with a little profit. Secondly, in case of EPCG, what happens? The EPCG holder is going to import the goods. No doubt you are not going to ask him to pay the GST or the very basic customs duty itself, as it is maybe. Maybe 6 times, 8 times you will ask him to do the export obligation, collect the money. That's different. But please remember, the EPCG holder is going to pay a sizable foreign exchange to the foreigner, sending of the foreign exchange, and then get the goods. Rather, if you are able to say that a GST, a domestic person, an indigenous goods manufacturer, can support this guy, Number one, your money is not going out. Foreign exchange temporarily between the time of import and the time of export is not going out of India, number one. The person who is the GST person should also get a benefit. If you tell him that, Baba, you don't worry, if you are not exporting to foreigner, that's fine, okay. If you are exporting at least to an advanced authorization person, or exporting to a EPCG person, I am using the word export, but actually it's supply. If you are doing it, it is equivalent to export itself. Deemed export. Equivalent to export. Deemed export. So if you give the status of exporter to him, maybe you will have the ITC being refunded to him properly, so that he will be enjoying the status of exporter. So what is the purpose of encouraging an exporter? He brings in the foreign exchange. What is the purpose of encouraging a deemed exporter? He is discouraging or avoiding the foreign exchange outward movement actually. Both are same. If the foreign exchange money is coming inside, you encourage. At least you discourage the foreign exchange money going outside. Both are same. That is the background of this one, if you understand this and also this. If you are supplying to an export-oriented unit, that is also deemed export from October 2017. So, in this case, all EOUs who are purchasing from you will give you a status of deemed exporter to the limited extent of that transaction. So, you need to have your own records for this purpose of proving this. That's all, nothing more than that. And another case is there which is not so famous in practice actually, gold which is purchased by the persons, or normally the bankers, public sector bankers with the advance authorization. All these parties are causing the opposite supplier, the supplying party, to get the status of deemed exporter. So, what we saw is deemed exporter is a person who is getting the benefit because of notification number 48/2017. What we saw is the supporting merchant of an exporter is getting the benefit relating to this by way of seeing that he is just supplying at 0.05% or 0.1% respectively under CGST or IGST, and he is a beneficiary for this purpose. If such a supplier is supplying, to you, 9610 is preventing or restricting that you don't claim IGST paid by you on this one. That means that don't use the ITC and try to pay. Deal with your ITC in local area. You don't come here and say that I am paying the IGST and come there is the version. So, a broader understanding of this will be giving you the meaning that except that no other problem for you. That comes on question. Using the EPCG goods or capital goods, maybe referring the notification 78/2017 customs or 79/2017 customs, read together with 53/2003 customs 2003. If somebody is manufacturing the goods and giving to you, that is not permitted. EPCG goods, if you are supplying it, 147 and all is doing that. Using the capital goods which are so concessionally brought by him to India, and then if he is trying to deal with that one, or a warehouse goods, as I was telling you, is just internally cleared there, and the last leg of the transaction is causing IGST, and then he is coming out with the product. From that, if he is supplying it, 9610 is not applicable to it, because having come out, it is a normal goods in India. From the capital goods, it is manufactured. The manufactured goods is causing the liability. It is again a normal process. So now, we are coming to the end of the discussion. If you do have questions which may be requiring a brief reply from me, we will be very happy to respond. Please, sir.
What will happen to this reco between 2 and 3? Put at first and then apply?
I don't know. They are very clear that, sir, up to June 2018, nothing can be done by them as far as this matter is concerned. Between 2 and 2A, they are not very sure. They are bringing in a system where only from 1st July they are sure actually. But of course, and they are having already 3 days back they made some trial actually. They could not do anything seriously to get the result internally, which we cannot discuss outside. But they could not get the result. So, that is the case. The 2 and 2A related matter is not a serious problem till you are getting 2 and 3 seriously into the picture actually. Till date you are having only the GSTR 1 and 3B running up to June 2018. Let them first prove that 1, 2, 3 are coming there and boosting the 3B. Then we can believe that 2, 2A, 1A, auto population and all are very serious. As of now, that is not being the serious problem at all.
Number 2.
Sir.
Fixed asset, when I buy a car,
Sir.
there is a cess. I cannot get a refund on it.
Yes, you will not, sir. You will not. Definitely you will not. As I was telling you, see, compensation says it is having section 8 in that act, section 11(2) in that act, which is making you to see that mutandis mutandis provisions of CGST Act is applicable is true. But law is on its own. Per se, that law itself is saying that it is eligible only to use it as an ITC for the down cess actually. That cannot be equivalent to an IGST cess, IGST credit or any other credit actually. Section 16 is not able to encompass this cess, it won't be available as a refund.
One more question.
Yes.
Service, below 50 lakhs collection basis up
Ah.
to June.
Ah,
I raised a bill before June, but I collected after July.
correct.
That is not it been remitted.
Hmm.
Is there any mechanism to remit?
See, you can just refer the Chartered Accountants Society Act versus Union of India, wherein a little old period, not this period, little older period, there was the same kind of situation wherein it was recognized well by the Delhi High Court and the department did not go on appeal also. To see that if the law is permitting the point of taxation to be at the time of receipt, that's only on the basis of receipt as per that law. You may be having your transition provision in a new law, you will dispute it, these are all different one. It says that you told the assessee that when you receive, then you pay the tax. That's all you only told. Having said that, rule 3 is predominant, rule 4 is a change of rate. Change of rate is not a problem here at all. This is not a question of change of rate, change of law itself actually. So the law is prevailing there as per that provision. When you receive, then you pay. You will be having a funny question. If I am receiving in 2025, what you will tell? What to, theoretically speaking, in 2025 you pay your service tax. That's all.
Meaning no need to pay now.
When you receive, then you pay, sir. Because you are a 50 lakh rupees party on receipt basis, you have to pay.
You will pay service tax.
No.
Yeah.
Is the system allows that?
Yeah, you can pay your challan very comfortably, sir. You cannot file your return, you need not file your return because law is more or less put to a sunset class, more or less, not officially of course. So you pay your tax. When you receive, you pay your tax. Tax is open actually. It is not necessary to be proving that only when it is reflected in official return you are a genuine payer actually. Pay the tax, keep the challan with you when somebody is waiting, show that.
Service tax. Old.
Yes, yes, the same service.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other
Claiming refund against opening input, sir.
Sorry, sir?
Claiming refund against opening input.
It's a very disputed point.
No, no.
The,
During month of July,
you can claim because it allowed also. Yes, that
No,
allowed.
I don't have any export in July.
Hmm.
I claim import
Hmm.
credit is
Hmm. Hmm.
the month of August only I may have an export.
Oh, discussion. Okay. All are GST only. Opening GST, current month GST. That's what you are asking. See, my brother's question is this. I have a ITC accumulation in a particular month. I do have an export which may not be in the same month, of course. That's the question, right, sir? So if that is the case, how I will be able to claim the refund is the question. This problem has been brought to their knowledge well by first week of October. They had a very detailed discussion. They were about to take a decision. They did not do. Half late only they gave the circular and they accepted in December. What they tried to tell is, of course, lot of trade notices. Several times we had requested and commissioners are also issuing that. What they are trying to tell is, in a particular tax period, law is permitting you to generate a RFD 01A. Yes, month wise you can do, quarter wise you can do. It's true. But that doesn't mean that you are under compulsion to do on a monthly basis only. So that meaning of that one is, you can try to club for the month of February you wanted to claim the credit. Credit only was there. But you did not have any export at all because material has come inside. In the month of March, you did an export, but you did not purchase anything. Because already you purchased in February, accumulated the ITC. As per the existing system, if you have, the earlier system when you had been trying to do the refund claim, what it was reading is, in the month of export, if you want to open, in the month of ITC if you want to open, no export is there, form will not open at all. And in the next month, this will be your personal experience, I hope you will be watching this. In the month of export, if you are trying to open, ITC will not be reflected. This is what locally called as Kallagata Nayagana, Nayagata Kallagana. So the problem, sorry for unparliamentary example. The problem is you don't have both these things gelling together. So what they have come out now is, you make your refund application not in February but in March, add these two together. That is export but claim that ITC also. By giving a reconciliation statement along with your statement 3, you will be accepting it. That's what.
But
So,
our total input will be more than that. No, it is for a quarter, is it?
that's what, no, that's what I am saying, sir. It is not at all necessary to strictly follow the tax period. It is true that the system is opening tax period wise. What they try to say is, we have given freedom to you to see that there and there you make your application on a monthly basis or tax period wise as a way. But we are not at all compelling you to strictly follow the month wise. You accumulate it, just club together 2 months export, 1 month export only, 2 months ITC, previous ITC only. Just if you match, you punch it and give it to us, we are ready to process it. So they are processing. I have seen practically 3 cases cleared also, but they are taking little time actually. They to understand that what you filed and other things are all. It is natural actually.
Sir, if you put turnover as 1 rupee and then if you process it, still it's okay. I've done that. Actually, we have bought the refund.
That's okay. That is nothing seriously wrong actually.
No,
Don't worry.
To the extent goods used for export only you can claim refund, no?
Sorry, sir?
To the extent
Yes.
goods used for the export,
Ah.
only to that extent you claim
No,
refund.
he is telling about the July to September period, I believe. Right, sir?
July only.
That's what. July to September, that system, that and all play we did actually. But later I did not allow actually. Because this column is reading that zero rated amount. The next column is reading that adjusted tax turnover. and this should be having some ratio. So that is giving a trouble actually. Now this one you can just go for clubbing, sir. As I was telling my brother, you can try. Right.
Refund and supplies to
Ah,
100% AOUs.
yes, sir.
Deemed exports.
Ah,
Whether the provision is because
Hmm.
in the forms,
sir.
there is a provision that it can be claimed only by the
Hmm.
recipient.
Ah.
The supplier, there is no.
No, there was a mistake, sir, actually. They corrected, I believe, because latest 2 months I did not see actually. But in January we raised this problem. January first week we raised this
Okay,
problem.
last month also it was not corrected.
I have to check it up, sir. But I agree that it was corrected with this. Because we sent a query also to them. And they said it's corrected, we are attending that one. I have to check it up. But they see, hope you understand the query from my brother actually. What they try to say is, what he's trying to raise is, I am an exporter to the EOU and you try to say that I am a deemed exporter, I am having a status to claim a refund. But it is saying that recipient only will be claiming and not me actually, is the question actually. But we need to check it up. I will check it up and tell.
And one more point is that,
Sir.
regarding that, when you are expressing this, giving this information in GST 3B,
Hmm.
whether it should be given as a zero rated supply
Hmm.
or a taxable supply. Because I am paying tax,
Hmm. Hmm.
I am paying IGST.
Mm-hmm. No, sir. With payment also, zero rate transaction is after all zero rate transaction. You know very well. Section 16(1) is permitting you in two ways. With payment also, it can be zero rate provided all conditions are satisfied. Without payment also, a transaction can be exported. That is the case. The same exports shoes are being used by the deemed export also. You can get into that same way. Not a problem at all. Because 147 is equating you to that one. You can treat yourself. So if that is the case, payment is after payment. You can present it as a with payment case actually. You get the refund of that. Nothing wrong. A normal exporter without LUT, what he is doing, sir? He pays and collects the refund. Similarly, you pay and collect the refund. Fine.
So I can show it under zero.
Yeah, zero rate. 31B, you punch it, sir. Go to this para 6A and mention this one. You give the details.
If by mistake I have given under taxable supplies. what is
Nothing wrong, sir. That's what I was telling you. Notice circular number 45/19/2018 dated 30 May 2018 reads in para 5 saying that by mistake if you have not filled your para 3(1) small b in GSTR 3B, that is nothing wrong. It is going to read together 3(1)A, 3(1)B, 3(1)C and understand that this IGST or CGST, whatever it is matching to that or not. That's what it is. You can do it. Not a problem. This is the solution yesterday only given, sir. Maybe you might not have seen the benefit actually. Yesterday only it has been given. It will do.
What about the IGST on the import of capital goods?
Yes, sir.
By an exporter?
Yes, sir. You can take credit of that, sir. It's an eligible credit, sir. No issue. Did you face any problem? It's a perfect. If it is academic question, perfectly right, sir. Nothing wrong with that. You are importing it. And during the process of importing, it is an IGST what you are paying. Maybe under customs challenge you will get clearance. That's okay. But it's paid as a IGST, which is equal to, because the Section 3(5) of Customs Tariff Act is recognizing this actually. It's a credit available to you. As erstwhile law we are talking about a countervailing duty of excess duty. This is nothing but an IGST what you are paying as a countervailing duty. Nothing else. You can take. Perfectly right. Your bill of entry is the material to be relied upon. You can go for it. Not a problem.
So in case of inverted duty structure,
Sir.
so I believe they have to give refund bill-wise.
That is a trouble. Yes.
Bill-wise, sir, about 4,000
Correct, sir. That's a big trouble. Really.
You cannot do anything, sir.
That is true, sir, but I'm not sure that what kind of solution they will be able to bring out, because we only should suggest them actually. Because you know very well, inverter structure is a little complex situation wherein you try to prove that rate is less as far as inward is concerned, outward is concerned, and rate is more as far as inward supply is concerned. To prove that when they are asking some data, maybe some good JSON file or something they can introduce instead of making us to type everything and all. From Excel to this one to copy or do, they should do, but I'm not having any solution right now in my hands. It's true, it's very painful.
Once they are rejecting the application,
Sir.
again the credit is not coming to the credit ledger.
That is a big complaint, sir. Yes, you can just write the complaint to the redressal scheme, sir. Actually, they are given that this problem they are attending on a priority basis. It is true that some cases they are not able to process, they are denying to give the refund. It's true, but as you say, with the vigor and happiness with which they have been debiting your ledger, with the same vigor and happiness they are supposed to re-credit your ledger. Sometimes it is getting delayed. So I have seen 3-4 days delay very easily. I don't know what kind of number of days delay was there in your case. But it's a serious problem. You can write to them, they are correcting it, sir. They manually intervene in the server side. They do it. They do.
Special campaign is there, sir, which month, anything?
Not so, sir. Not so actually. But you go to the online redressal system, grievance redressal. You make an application, sir. You can make an application, get an RN for that or TRN for that. You will be able to do it.
The FARC is sometimes
sometimes wrong.
Yes, sir, it is true. BRC you can try to get in case of goods easily. FARC is little in trouble because even the FEDI also has given some advice that you need not just like that give to anything, check it up and give. For advance, you never issue FARC. So many conditions they have given to them. Past 2.5 years, they are troubling a lot. But sometimes it is getting delayed. Yes, it is true. That's what I was telling you. No, FARC reference in the statement number 3 of RFD 01A is not in mandatory column. Fortunately.
But for goods also they're insisting, sir.
Yes, of course, sir. For goods also, this is very meaningless actually. They are
It's
insisting.
not that, no?
No, that column you can skip, sir. When you are going in person, when you are furnishing the detail, you can give it. You know, you'll ask the details of the FARC. You can take little time and give. Not a problem.
But some banks are issuing FIRA instead
Ah.
of FRC.
Ah.
So is there be any problem for issuing of FIRA?
No, that's a certificate which is reading that this much foreign exchange from so and so source has come inside. That's perfectly okay, no? That's perfectly. As long as the foreign exchange has hit your account in convertible form, as it is accepted by Reserve Bank, and as it is processed by Section 7 authorized dealer of Foreign Exchange Management Act 2000, you are very safe. That's all. Nothing. That's the.
Sir, one of the exporter of goods is receiving advance payment from the customers, sir, actually.
Sure, fine.
Later on, he is supplying the goods. What is the impact in GST?
Nothing seriously wrong, sir. Earlier we had some confusion relating the advance received by you. You need to prove that whether it is an exporter related advance only. As far as material is concerned,
Sir, if it's
local advance itself is not trouble for material. You know what's your
Up
problem?
to 12th October, sir. Suppose it's from 1st of July to 12th October.
No,
I received advance from
See,
the foreign customer.
That's perfectly okay, sir. Your supply only is costing you a liability seriously. Incidentally, the point of tax in time of supply was wrongly fit for goods also. Advance was liable actually. You can subsequently prove that it is only towards a supply. The sum and substance of the law is very simple, sir. Farm wise money came first, time of supply hit, pay the tax. Maybe a story, but you are able to prove that supply is going outside India. So zero rated. You can definitely claim that it's a zero rated.
Sir, one of the exporter of service,
Sir.
he took the registration in the month of March actually.
March 2018.
18, sir.
Right, sir.
From July to February, he had made some export of service.
No.
Unfortunately, did not get registered actually.
Mm-hmm.
Its number was cancelled in the month of July actually.
July 2017.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the status, sir? Actually, he has
See,
received some
as I was
payment.
telling you, sir, being an exporter, you are foremost responsibility to see that you are registering, because there are certain provisions which are not
Export
so
of
easily
service,
detected.
actually, it's an export of service.
Let it be. See, sir, there are certain areas where you cannot dispute so easily because law is communicating well actually. You need not make any interpretation. It tells well actually. One among those kind of matter is this one actually. If you are doing an export, doing an interstate transaction outside the territorial waters, you are requiring a registration basically. So it is not about your basic 20 lakh rupees. It's not about this and all seriously. How much is the turnover for him?
It's a big amount, sir. It's around 40, 30
That
lakhs.
ground is also hit actually. So he should have registered himself. So not registering is naturally causing a violation. There may
When
be
he
a,
was registered, it got cancelled actually.
that may be. Technically he is not registered. He
Yeah.
tried it, but he is not registered.
Yeah.
So without registration he has tried it. This offense number 1
But
actually.
he's not claiming any refunds actually.
Let it be, that is okay. That also you cannot be expecting actually. So to that extent you should be gracious. So coming to this one, you did not register, so offense number 1, and you did not have your LUT in your hand, maybe to some extent you can argue. See, having given, as I told you, at the cost of repetition, see, having a LUT is going to prove what? To the president I am telling that I will get the foreign exchange. To the president I am telling that I will follow the IGST procedure. To the president I am saying that the provisions of the law will be complied with. Having told that if I am complying, what is the difference? If I am not told in a written A4 paper and following it, what is the difference? This and all we can argue. But as I already told you, technically you are right, practically you are wrong. You can say it is a matter of dispute actually. So you can just give a very good fees to a good advocate actually. Maybe my learned sir is there, my guru is there. So you can give it a good fees to him and he will get a relief by a rate kit and all. But when it comes to the work, it's not workable. Any other questions? So that may be the last question. So in all lectures, it is my presumption that as if before 1.5 to 2 hours time, I started, your comfort level was somewhere. And after I delivered my lecture of 1.5 hours or 2 hours, a slightly half-inch upward movement was there in your comfort. It's all my presumption. Nobody came and told and vouched. On my own, I used to presume. This is how all the 1.5 decades of my life has gone actually. This day is not an exception. I had a very nice hearing from your side. So nice of you. Thank you very much.
That's an exceptionally brilliant presentation from V. Prasanna Krishnan. Friends, join your hands for Prasanna. And especially in the recent past, we haven't come across such a presentation, especially on refunds. And I'm sure today's presentation would vouch that. May I request past regional council member who's present here, KP Muralidharan, to be on the stage, please, to honor our speaker on behalf of each and every one of us present here. With a memento. The kind of research he has done, bringing before us, it's stupendous, fabulous. Once again, friends, a big round of applause for Prasanna. CA KP Muralidharan, past regional council member, to Prasanna. Now for the second show, Advocate K. Vaidiswaran. Friends, join your hands welcoming Mr. Vaidiswaran on the stage, please. With 28 years of experience as an advocate, he is also a cost accountant and a company secretary. He advises clients across the country on various verticals like manufacturing, retail, healthcare, hospitality, media, entertainment, information technology, education, logistics, infrastructure, real estate, shipping, travel and leisure, banking and financial services, also to associations, Chamber of Commerce. A most versatile personality, especially on indirect taxes, travels across length and breadth of the country, delivers lectures in all national conferences, and also most sought after teacher among the CA students for CA final examination, and also recipient of Vocational Excellence Award from Rotary Club. Some of his few hobbies are a very good singer. Sunday evening you can't catch him. He will be busy singing Tamil songs, especially you must hear that. And hyperactive in Facebook, a fascinating film critic, and especially his recent Cho Manadu Vaidi Eluthu is a fabulous hit among his followers on social media. So that's a very brief about Sri K. Vaidiswaran. With a big round of applause for his own inimitable style on the import of services and export of services. Over to Mr. Vaidi.
Good evening, friends. I had committed to Raju while I was traveling in the US and came back 3 days ago, still a little bit jet lagged. If I fall asleep while making this presentation, please prod me and wake me up. I'm still fascinated by the fact that GST is still carrying so much of weightage among professionals and CAs in terms of seminars. I see seminars almost every alternate day, even now. Prior to July 17, I saw that kind of trend, but after implementation, we are really running to 1 year of implementation, and somewhere I read across today that monsoon season will see amendments in the GST law. So I think the Institute will be fully active in terms of presentations on various amendments that are going to happen. We are talking about legislative amendments, not even notifications, of course you have seen enough. I like this particular topic, export import of services, right from the days of service tax till now. But GST has got a different kind of a flavor because we are now going deeper into the place of supply provisions and trying to understand some of the issues. So this will be a kind of a practical presentation on some of the issues which you are already facing. Your clients will be touching some of these transactions. So I'm going to go through some of them after going through a preliminary aspect of what is required. Unfortunately, we still continue with this debate on goods or services. We thought that post GST this debate would completely settle down and there would not be any necessity for us to even discuss as to what is goods or what is services. But the way we are looking at is that the goods versus services dispute which existed in the pre-GST law in various segments seems to continue in GST, at least in the export and import foray. International goods and services are always treated as same. There is no distinction. If you take the UK VAT, it is a levy on goods or services. If you take the EU, it is again goods or services together. If you take the Australia, there is no distinction. But India somehow has made this distinction, which has got its consequences. Whereas if you look at the legislative background or Article 246A, Parliament and Legislature of every state has the power to make laws with respect to goods and services tax imposed by the Union. Article 366(12)A defines goods and services tax to mean any tax on the supply of goods or services or both, except of course on alcohol for human consumption. So the levy is on goods or services or both, and while defining these goods or services, we have created enough issues. One, the very fact that the rates are different brings out the distinction. If goods or services have been used as deployed terms and you have an overall rate of 18% as how Rahul Gandhi wanted, then of course you would not have had a problem. But if you have 18% for every item, that will again be a problem. Incidentally, we should take pride by the fact that our restaurant services are at 5%. World over, you don't get restaurant service at 5%. And we are talking about restaurant services which had a 14.5% VAT and a 6% service tax. So from 20.5%, restaurant services have come down to 5%, but we still complain about the petrol bills. It's a different story. So goods or services, the rate distinction continues both because of the rate perspective and because of other peculiar problems which we'll face in the next few years because of the fact that there is no central excise tariff which goes through chapters and identifies the rates or the methodology for identification of rates. Except that for goods there is a reference to customs tariff. For services, if you get into a classification dispute, there is no solution. For example, if there is a dispute between manpower supply and consultancy, there is no way you can identify which is the category that is applicable. It will probably go into litigation and courts have to decide because there is no methodology. Whereas for goods at least there is some yardstick as to how to classify a product. There is a method through the Customs Tariff Act. There is no schedule of goods as part of the Act. It's all through notifications and all of us know how these notifications have been amended. Multiple times rates have been amended, at least now they have this good consolidated concept. At least to the extent the website is nice and effective, it communicates that particular point. Now come to the key issue. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money and securities, including actionable claim, growing crops and things attached to or forming part of land which are agreed to be severed before supply or under contract of supply. So goods covers every kind of movable property other than money and securities. Now when you look at the definition of service, it says anything other than goods, money and securities. Now that's a very risky definition. When you have a definition of services which says anything other than goods, money and securities, then your focus is back to the definition of goods. What all fits into the canvas of goods is kept out. Does it automatically become service? So can you say that immovable property is a service? Renting of immovable property can be a service, but can you say immovable property per se is a service? Because immovable property is obviously not goods. Then the question is immovable property anything? Because it has to be anything other than goods for it to be a service. So there is going to be a mind-boggling debate at the Supreme Court level in the next 15 years as to what constitutes a service. Globally, service has been understood as some kind of activity that is done which involves some skill or resources or ability. So if you go back to the various decisions on the context of goods, they said that anything that is capable of being stored, anything that is capable of being transmitted, anything that is capable of being held was considered to be as goods. So the opposite could be the definition of service. Anything that is not capable of being stored. I am giving consultancy to you, you cannot store it. I have given the advice is over. So the opposite of the various decisions of the Supreme Court in the context of goods may come as decisions in future as to what constitutes service. We are yet to go into that kind of debate. But service, they use the word anything. The moment you use the word thing, it can become goods again. But they use the word anything. So we'll now, later on, we'll have to interpret a Webster's dictionary along with Wikipedia, along with, Renan multiple principles as to whether anything can be used in the beginning of a definition, and then come to a conclusion as to what is a service. Now, why do we break our head? The reason we break our head is that place of supply for goods is governed by section 10 and section 11. Place of supply for services is governed by section 12 and section 13. So when a client comes and asks a simple question, whether this transaction is export or not, your endeavor should just not be section 16 of the IGST Act. Your endeavor must be to first find out whether goods or service. After crossing that bridge of goods or service, then you go into which provisions of place of supply is applicable, and then come to the conclusion as to whether the transaction is export or not. I'll give you examples where it is nebulous. I can very clearly say that, sir, I'm exporting a machinery. Obviously, it is goods. We're not looking at that kind of transaction. But there could be other transactions which I'll explain a little bit later. 12 is applicable where location of supplier and recipient is in India. 13 is applicable where one of the fellows is outside India. Again, which section is applicable becomes very critical. So you need to find out, you need to know your supplier, his location, recipient, his location. Once you are confirmed on all these only, you can proceed further on the right section, because the answers can be very different in section 12 and section 13. So let me start with software. Permanent transfer of intellectual property right in respect of IT software attracts GST at the rate of 18% under notification 1/2007 applicable to goods. So as far as software is concerned, they have taken a view that software is goods. Whether you transfer permanently or whether you transfer otherwise, we don't care. We will call it as goods for the purpose of 18% GST. Temporary or permanent transfer or permitting the use of an enjoyment on IPR in respect of information technology software attracts GST at the rate of 18% under 11/17 applicable to services. So if it is a permanent transfer of IP right in software, they treat it as goods. If it is a temporary transfer or permitting the use, they consider it as service. So you are back to the same question as to what is the nature of the transaction involved in this. Is it a permanent transfer or temporary transfer? This issue is now ripe in film industry. Typically, film industry, what happens, you make a film. And then when you make a film, you obviously have the copyright vested in that film. The producer gives this film for distribution to the distributor. Earlier days and all, they used to give this film rights in such a manner by 99 years lease. 99 years lease in film and all is unheard of today. 1 week lease is romba jasti. Because the film does not cross a week. So you are talking about 99 years lease on the assumption that the film has got that much of potential. Copyright Act talks about a period of lease specified 60 years. So the copyright itself is supposed to be 60 under the Copyright Act. 99 years lease, what is the nature of transaction? One round of dispute. Second round of dispute, I don't want 99 years lease and all. This copyright belongs to me. I am assigning all rights to you. Everything belongs to you. I don't want anything in this. Permanent transfer. Then the department says, all that is right, but there is a clause in the agreement which says that in case some flaw arises in ownership, you shall do all such steps that are required to rectify the position that the ownership is vesting with me. The department says, you are having some right to change the whole thing, therefore it is temporary, it is not permanent. So, permanent and temporary looks like very ordinary terms, but when it comes to litigation, they are mind-boggling impact, especially when you read the parent legislation of trademark or copyright. So from a GST perspective, let us assume that permanent means temporary means you give me some license fee. I give everything in entirety, it is permanent. I don't give everything in entirety, I retain something, you give me something. Now just interpolate this in income tax. Most of you practice both direct tax as well as indirect tax. The same issue exists in income tax. You pay license fee to Microsoft to get the software. The income tax department says that this is fees for technical services. Therefore, it will be income accruing arising in India. Article 12 would apply. You would argue saying that, no, I purchased a copyrighted article, therefore it's a purchase of goods. It is only business income, therefore 195 TDS will not come. So whether it is permanent or temporary is a mirror image dispute in GST as well as income tax. From a software perspective, there is also a possibility of what is called as kudu vittu kudu payirudhu, namely download of software. Package software on those days. So I just access the relevant server, punch in the necessary keys, automatically I download the software. Whether download of software and usage under license should be considered as supply of goods or supply of services. Whether medium of delivery can alter the nature of transaction. Dabbala vangina goods, download panna service. Can you say that? If a dabbala vangina, it is goods package software. Download panna, it is service. Can you say that? Now that becomes a very interesting question. Now let's see how it is tackled. Supreme Court in the case of Associated Cement Company versus Commissioner of Customs held that all tangible movable articles should be goods for the purpose of Customs Act. Any media, whether in the form of books or CD or cassettes which contain IT, would necessarily be regarded as goods. The moment information or advice is put on a media, whether paper or diskettes or any other thing, that becomes chattel. So if something is put in a machine readable format, like those days it was called as a floppy. Associated Cement's case involved a floppy. Technical drawings were put inside a floppy and therefore they were considered as goods. If a floppy in the word, it's a rare terminology. But a download is not the same as floppy. A downloaded file or a downloaded access to a software is not the same as a floppy. It is not a pen drive. So can you say that it does not fit into the Associated Cement's case and therefore it is not goods? Constitutional Bench of Supreme Court in the case of TCS said that software is capable of abstraction, consumption, use, transmission, transfer, delivery, storage, and hence should be goods for the purpose of levy of sales tax. There is a European Court Justice judgment, ECJ, in the case of use of.
So by the character of consumption, the generic meaning is that it should get exhausted, right? And when you say consumption.
Right. In fact, that principle was brought through first in electricity. Question that arose before the Supreme Court in the case of NTPC case was whether electricity is goods or not. So there the Supreme Court applied this logic and said that electricity is capable of abstraction, consumption, use, transmission, transfer, delivery, storage, possession, and hence it is goods. Then that electricity judgment was applied for software and said that all the test is met for this and therefore it is goods. That's why I gave the earlier remark saying that an opposite of all this should be service. It should not be capable of storage, it should not be capable of transfer, it should not be capable of delivery, it is not be capable of abstraction, then it is a service. That is a view that I'm trying to propagate. Probably if I'm alive at that point of time, I'll argue that point. If you take the ECJ, very interesting judgment, fairly recent from their perspective. Downloading of a copy of a computer program and the conclusion of a user license agreement for that copy is an indivisible whole. Downloading of a copy of a computer program is pointless if the copy cannot be used by its possessor. The two operations must therefore be examined as a whole for the purpose of legal classification. Where a customer of Oracle downloads the copy of the program and concludes the license agreement and receives the right to use that copy for an unlimited period on payment of a fee, there is a transfer of right of ownership of the copy of the computer program. So they've kind of understood the IT business and given this kind of view. There is a wonderful judgment of the Delhi bench, Justice Raghuram wrote this judgment, in the case of Atul Kaushik. Electric download of software from a server located abroad amounts to import of goods. To that extent, they have considered that as import of goods. But then they add the caveat. So what? There is no mechanism to levy of duty on download of software. Unga veetu computer la vara software is a download. Custom duty can be levied only if it comes through custom station. There has to be a bill of entry. It has to be going through a certain process. Therefore, they said there is no mechanism for levy of duty on download of software. Entire Customs Act in the present form only provides for collection of custom duty on tangible goods. In the absence of a mechanism for collection of tax, the levy fails. Not levy, levy fails. We are back to the B.S. Srinivasa Sethi principle. So they said that it is goods, but can you levy customs duty on it? You cannot levy customs duty on it because the customs law does not contemplate this. Therefore, since you cannot levy customs duty on this transaction, there cannot be a levy. Electronically downloaded software is not leviable to customs duty. Civil appeal filed by the revenue has also been dismissed. Now, why do I say this? Look at this. If we go by the principle that downloaded software is goods, if download of software is considered as import of goods, there is no mechanism to levy customs duty under section 12. IGST on import of goods is levied at the point of time of levy of customs duty under section 12. If customs duty itself cannot be imposed under section 12, IGST will also cannot be imposed. Understood the philosophy? Because the entire IGST levy on imported goods is linked with section 12. The way IGST Act is structured, that IGST on import of goods is inextricably connected to section 12 of the Customs Act, where the point of levy is the importer. Therefore, if 12 fails, customs duty cannot be imposed, then there is no question of IGST at all. If download of software is considered as a service, what is acquired is only a right to use a copyrighted article. It is a service, it is an import of service. Import of service will attract IGST under reverse charge tax. Therefore, 15 to 20 years from now, we will get a decision as to whether download of software is falling under the category of import of goods or import of service. Till then, what will clients do? Clients will take what is called as a comfortable call. I define it as comfortable call. Comfortable call means, sir, can I get credit or not? If I can get credit, that's good sir, service sir. Now, what is credit with the poor? So, the comfortable call happens in a scenario where you are entitled to credit. If you are not entitled to credit, in the debate, it dispute allowed. So, that is a call which most of the clients take today. But it is a very serious legal dispute as to whether it is goods or services. That's why I gave the preface that goods or services may look like an ordinary terminology, but it's got a big impact in export and import of services.
Anyhow, all this download should come only through cable, sir.
What is download?
No, you mean the download of software. It should come only through a cable, no?
Correct.
But there you are crossing a customs frontier, no?
No.
Wait.
Customs frontier.
Beneath the earth, the cable is going.
The customs, unfortunately, the Customs Act is so structured that it has to touch the port or an airport as defined.
Is it a physical structure or logical structure?
Huh?
It's only a physical structure, no logical structure.
In fact, customs law debated this and then said that electronic downloads we don't care. There is no necessity for any kind
You
of
mean to say if the goods are going to be imported or smuggled into India, in a place where the customs office is not there, no duty, is it?
See, first of all, they felt that
In between Chennai port and Kadalur port, I am just bringing the material. Mean no customs duty.
that material would be tangible and recognized as smuggled.
Oh, why?
Because you are supposed to bring tangible goods only through a Chennai port or a Cochin port.
Okay.
If it is an intangible, there is no law which says how you should bring it. See, under the Customs Act, you have what is called as customs ports, customs airports, land customs station. Custom ports means under section 7 of the Customs Act, certain ports are notified as customs ports. Customs airports again notified. Only airports which have the capacity to handle international traffic will be notified as airports. That is why moving kerosene from Rameswaram to Sri Lanka is smuggling. Bringing people from Sri Lanka to Rameswaram is infiltration. I hope you get the connection. So typically these kind of activities when done without the port will become smuggling. Done through the port without declaration becomes smuggling. You walk in through a green channel when you come back from abroad, you are declaring, I don't have any goods in your possession. If you are found to possess goods which are taxable and you are walking through the green channel, you are a smuggler. Kurvi. Whereas for download of software, the customs law does not contemplate any kind of compliance because it does not touch any of the customs code, nor can it touch because it is coming somewhere. It is from one server to another server. We don't know where it is. Future maybe they will design laws for this because now we are moving towards digital economy. We are changing the laws towards digital economy. We probably design laws for it.
Deeming provision.
They will come in the future. They may come with a logic saying, in whichever place you press the button enter, that is the point of import to solve your account.
Sir.
Yes.
Small place. Supposing it's like Office 365, the period downloaded software is a period of use of 1 year. Is it pretty clear that it's a service?
No, again, if you are willing to dispute it, you can say it is not taxable at all because it falls in the ambit of goods and customs provisions do not exist for this.
But it is temporary, it is only 1 year.
Doesn't matter, even a lease of machinery can attract customs duty.
Yeah.
Even a stock transfer of goods from UK branch to India branch can attract customs duty. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Coming to exports, Prasanna talked about the refund part of it, but primarily it must be section 16. Export of goods or services both are considered zero rated supply. ITC credit is available. Exporter can claim refund of unutilized ITC on supply of goods or services both under bond or LUT. An export, somebody asked a question, you asked a question about LUT not being given or registration not being there. There are enough decisions to argue. That's why you said if you want you can argue. There are enough decisions to argue that registration is only a technical requirement so long as the export has been established, so long as you have proof that the services have been rendered to a client outside India and Forex has come in, that is adequate for everything else. If you want a direct judgment, there is a Madras High Court judgment in the case of Ford, where you claim excise rebate for manufacture of goods, and a lot of technical aspects were found out saying that you have not mentioned this number, you have not mentioned the packing list, you have not mentioned the registration number, you have not done all these things. Matter went to Madras High Court. Madras High Court said that so long as the export is not questioned or doubted and money has been realized, everything else vanishes, just give the benefit. There is always this argument that substantial benefit can never be denied for technical reasons. You can apply all that. Where is that person? Power source. Speak kuru system rendu pera hybrid pona kashtam. Now let's look at this export of services. It's a very funny definition. Supplier of service must be located in India. Recipient of service must be located outside India. Place of supply of service must be outside India. Payment for such service must be received in convertible foreign exchange. Supplier of service and recipient of service are not merely establishments of distinct persons in accordance with section 1 of section 8. This was borrowed from service tax. Explanation 1 to section 8 provides that where a person has an establishment in India and any other establishment outside India, then such establishments shall be treated as establishments of distinct persons. So when you want to categorize a transaction as export of service, you are supposed to meet this definition. You are supposed to establish that supplier is in India, you are supposed to establish recipient is outside India, more critically place of supply is outside India, foreign exchange, and not fall within this last category. That's what they say. Now let's look at software consultancy category 1. Chennai based company provides IT consult services to UK client, money received in convertible foreign exchange, location of supplier say Chennai, location of recipient UK. The moment one of the parties is outside India, you walk into section 13, you don't look at section 12. So you look at section 13. Section 13, there are multiple categories, but your category of consulting services does not fit into any of those categories. Therefore, you look at the default category, namely 13.2. The funny thing is, the default category comes first. Normally the default will come at the end. இந்த அந்த கால தமிழ் படத்துல லாஸ்ட் லைன் மற்றும் பலர்னு வரும். Okay, those black and white films. அந்த மாதிரி மற்றும் பலர் is the default rule. So, in fact, there was a friend of mine who kept joking saying that பெரிய ஆள் பாவரு எல்லா ஃபிலிமே அவர் வருவார் யார் மற்றும் பலர். So typically a location of recipient falls under 13.2, which is a default rule. So we are trying to look at this consultancy services, try to fit into any of 13.3, 13.4, 13.5, 13.6. It doesn't fit in. Therefore, you look at 13.2, location of recipient. It's outside India. Therefore, you look at this contract transaction as an export of service. Scenario 2, software consultancy services contract between US branch of an Indian company and US client. Entire work outsourced to head office Mumbai. Now typically what happens is, these are all pre-Trump scenarios and to some extent post-Trump also. Pre-Trump scenarios is such that the foreign client is uncomfortable dealing with an Indian vendor. He says, I want a local fellow. I will give a contract only to a local fellow so that I can sue him if there is a problem. So what does the Indian company do? They don't want to lose the business. They open a branch. Entire Infosys was working on the branch principle. So they open a branch outside India. Branch will get the contract. Branch will outsource the work to the head office in India. Mumbai office will provide all the consultancy to the US branch. Invoice will be raised on US branch by Mumbai office, then US branch on overseas client. So the cycle is complete. Money is also received by Mumbai branch. Now, is this export of service? Now let's go back to the condition again. Supplier of service is located in India. Recipient of service is located outside India. Place of supply is outside India. And the last condition says they must not be distinct persons. So in our case, supplier of service is India. Recipient of service is located outside India. Place of supply is also outside India because section 32 applies. Forex is also received. Despite Forex being received, there is a problem. Supplier of service and recipient of service are not merely establishments. So how do we get over this? One set of people have tried to argue that the word merely establishments indicates that merely is very significant. Therefore, if it's just a liaison office kind of a scenario, if it's just a small office kind of scenario, then it will fit into merely. Otherwise, it is not merely, it's a substantial branch doing all this consultancy services. They are not hit by this definition. One argument. Second set of fellows said, what nonsense, I'll go to court. So, one of the banks, most of the banks are affected by this, they've gone to Delhi High Court, challenge this levy saying that how can you put a transaction, how can you put a GST on an export transaction? If the same transaction is between Indian company and US subsidiary, it is export. Just because they are branch and head office, can there be a differential treatment? That is the question. So, if you look at import of service, they don't care. Whether it is branch or head office, they tax it. So, can export of service also be taxed and import of service also be taxed? There has to be a difference between both. If you are saying import of service is taxable, you should say export is not taxable. So, somewhere something is wrong in the way they have approached this. Now, I will look at it this way. There is a decision, old decision 1961, 5 members of the Supreme Court in the case of Cochin Coal, where they said that concept of export in Article 286(1)(b) of the Constitution postulated the existence of two termini as those between which the goods were intended to move or between which they were intended to be transported and not a mere movement of goods out of the country. So they talk about a two termini, whereby they say, does it emanate from one location and land in another location? If it emanates from one location and lands in another location, it is export. Whether it is a branch holding subsidiary or not, we will now argue. So, whether it is moving from India to outside India in the case of Mumbai branch to US branch, answer is yes. Let's look at Microsoft. Delhi bench of the tribunal held that there should be two termini for export of service. Service generated in one termini, if travels outside that termini for ending thereat, export can said to have been made. Therefore, even in a branch kind of scenario, there can be an export possibility, and that definition cannot be restricted. Therefore, that definition is worthwhile to challenge, which is why it has been challenged in Delhi High Court. Now, there is another background to it. The background to it is that most of the European banks would operate on a branch model. They operate as a branch in India. The reason why they operate as a branch in India is, if they operate on a subsidiary holding company route, in Europe, there is a reverse charge VAT. So to get over the reverse charge VAT, they created the branch model. Now India law says, branch model na GST code. So now they have to debate as to which is rate arbitrage. Whether the rate in EU is lower, then we'll shift to the holding company subsidiary model. If the rate if the GST is lower, they'll go to this, or question both. Now let's come to this term intermediary. There is tremendous confusion in the market because people who are not intermediaries call themselves intermediaries and get into trouble. Intermediary is defined as a broker, agent or any other person by whatever name called who arranges or facilitates the supply of goods or services or both or securities between two or more persons, but does not include a person who supplies such goods or services or both on his own account. He brings A and B together. That is his job. The primary transaction is between A and B. He is a facilitator. If he does the facilitation of making A and B come together for a transaction, he is an intermediary. ABC and Co. Chennai operates as an intermediary. ABC and Co. Chennai facilitates supply of goods in XYZ Singapore and LKM Turkey. 5% commission is received in foreign exchange from XYZ Singapore. Location of supplier, India. Location of recipient, outside India. Money comes in dollars. Parties are not merely branches, but unfortunately, place of supply in terms of section 13.8 is the location of the supplier. If you go back to the definition of export of service, one of the key conditions is that place of supply must also be outside India. So I meet location of supplier, I meet location of recipient, I receive the money in dollars, but unfortunately I fall under 13.8 because I'm an intermediary. If you're an intermediary, you have no choice. If you fall under 13.8, location of supplier is in India and therefore transaction is not an export of service. The transaction is not an export of service, then you have to charge GST. Then there can be a question as to whether I should charge IGST or CGST SGST. That debate can also arise depending on the scenario and depending on the facts. I would say CGST SGST is the right method because location of supplier is here, therefore you adopt that methodology and finish it off. Company based in Kochi wants to expand the GCC market. Agent appointed in Dubai to provide leads and identify potential buyers. After the buyer is identified, contract is entered in between supplier in India and the buyer in UAE directly. After realization of sale proceeds, 6% is paid as commission to the agent. Now here again, location of the intermediary is outside India. In this case, in the first case, location was Chennai. ABC was in Chennai. In the second case, this agent is based in Dubai. So section 13.8 of the IGST Act says location of supplier of services. Now, I am making 6% commission payment. Should I pay IGST by treating it as import of service? Look at the definition of import of service. Supplier of services located outside India. Yes, Dubai agent. Recipient of service located in India. Nanda. Yes. Place of supply is in India. No. Place of supply is outside India because location of intermediary. So the funny part is, if I am an agent and I bring valuable foreign exchange to this country, taxable. If I pay foreign exchange to an agent outside India, no tax. How can you have a law like this? It should be the reverse. So what actually happens is, we are now encouraging foreign exchange outflow because this kind of a transaction, I can have a structured transaction where it is no GST at all. You will see many such scenarios in GST where it may be better to do the transaction outside India. Third scenario. A Limited facilitates supply of securities between an investor in Singapore and a seller in India. A Limited received brokerage in Forex. Now look at the funny part. Definition of goods excludes securities. Definition of services excludes securities. But definition of intermediary alone includes securities. So securities is neither goods nor service. But an intermediary touching securities falls within the ambit of service. So brokerage alone, they want to tax it. Here again, the brokerage will be taxed if you are an agent in India. If you are going to pay a Singapore broker for this transaction, there is no tax. So the whole thing can completely get altered. If your business savvy and your market is such that you can do this kind of a transaction, if you move from a commission model to a support model, then intermediary section itself is not applicable to you. I can do business support services, I can do market coordination support services, ensure that you don't have a right to represent, ensure that there is no agency principle, ensure that you don't act on behalf of the principal. Then 13.2 versus 13.8. You will go to 13.2, whereby location of recipient matters and therefore it could be export of service. It all depends upon whether you are able to restructure your business. So it's very important in GST that you should be flexible to change your business model, because there could be huge tax savings within the of course it must be real. It cannot be a paper document. You cannot call it as a marketing support agreement and have 5% commission in there. They'll draft marketing support services agreement. Last line saying 5% commission is payable for the services rendered. So, in fact, there is a latest judgment of the Supreme Court in the context of income tax where 3-page agreement, 5 places they talk about agent and commission, and then they argued that it is not an agency. Supreme Court said your agreement speaks for yourself. So you have to be very, very careful. If you are implementing a scenario which is different, it must be real and not superfluous. Intermediary versus consultancy. You could give a mandate for due diligence, strategic investment, whereby somebody is supposed to get a good investor for diluting the stake and getting funds into the company. So for that purpose, it is just not mere brokerage. He facilitates the entire transaction, cleans up the business, cleans up the records, makes everything available, does a pakka diligence. He's got a monthly retainer till he hunts out for people, and then provides a host of services before the transaction is consummated, and then there is a success fee. That success fee may be a percentage, but that is not a commission. So that success fee would fit into 13.2 rather than 13.8. It will not be an intermediary. This I already pointed out, interplay between 12 and 13, different place of supply provision, different place of supply provision with goods and services, and therefore these goods and services debates. Now everywhere I have said location of supplier, location of recipient. How are these defined? Defined in a very, very tricky way. Where supply is made from a place of business for which registration is obtained, location of such business. Where supply is made from a place other than the place of business for which registration is obtained, a fixed establishment elsewhere, location of such fixed establishment. Where supply is made from more than one establishment, whether the place of business is a fixed establishment, location of the establishment most directly concerned. The Vivek Padathila there is one comedy saying that the interview will happen, this fellow will come. Suppose there is a fire accident, what will you do? Sir, I will immediately call the fire service. Phone work pannala, what will you do? Sir, I will quickly run and open that fire thing and pour the fire extinguisher on this. Budget fire extinguisher. No, I will go to the bathroom, fill up a bucket of water and pour it on the flames. Tanni taxi katla, what will you do? In the matter of office, you will just burn the office and go away. Like that, one by one, if everything was in the absence of such places, usual place of residence of supplier, and for a corporate, it is your place of incorporation. So, location of supplier is defined, mind you, in such a manner that this will lead to mind-boggling interpretation. Location of supplier determines everything. Registration, if somebody has obtained. If somebody has obtained GST registration, because a lot of people obtain GST registration thinking that they are liable. A lot of agriculturists I know obtain GST registration. They all obtain, farmers obtain GST registration. So our government also got very happy saying number of registered persons have gone up. GST registration obtained for 3 purposes. One, you are a genuine business player you want GST registration, you want input tax credit, etc. 2, you are a horribly misinformed fellow where you are not even liable, but somebody told you to register, you have registered. Third is the interesting case. Customer says, unless you have GST number, I won't deal with you. GST number. I regularly get these emails from clients when bills are raised, for legal services. You have not provided your GST number. First reply, I'll say, you don't have a proper GST consultant. First, get it rectified from your consultant. Why would there be a GST number for a reverse charge mechanism? Adala angle theriyadu. Enga checklist padi you must have a GST number because this payment outsourced, processing has been outsourced. Then you mark a CC to the CFO saying that for legal services your fellow wants to register. Please ask, either chuck him out of the job or get him proper advice. So registration has been obtained that can make you a location of the supplier. Mirror image for location of recipient. Now what is this fixed establishment? Fixed establishment means a place other than the registered place which is characterized by sufficient degree of permanence and suitable structure in terms of human and technical resources to supply services or to receive and use services for its own needs. How much of subjectivity is there? It must have a sufficient degree of permanence. That is, what is sufficient degree? What is sufficient? Itself is interpretation. Sufficient degree of permanence. Permanent more, permanent. Suitable structure. We understand structure in terms of a civil structure, but this is English terminology. Suitable structure in terms of human and technical resources. What are the number of resources? Is 10 enough? 100 enough? 2 enough? There could be a consultant who will have one right hand who will take care of the entire India business. Can he say that, sir, only one resource I have, therefore it is not suitable structure? Noor makku fellow better, oru budsali fellow better. So you never know. These are all too subjective. And this has got a tremendous role in interpretation. We have spent hours together trying to interpret whether ATM is a fixed establishment or not. Whether an ATM located in that 100 square feet in a bank, whether it is a fixed establishment. Because what happens, you provide one small room, you provide one AC, you provide a fire extinguisher, you provide the ATM, you provide the facility of cash drop and cash pickup, you have a security, you have a webcam. Therefore, are you creating a fixed establishment which can receive services? You are receiving services. So does it become a fixed establishment? Whether an oil rig is a fixed establishment or not. Whether a gaming kiosk is a fixed establishment or not. All these are now matters of interpretation, because fixed establishment can completely trigger the transactions as to liability, because you may have registrations in every state if you have fixed establishment. If you say ATM is a fixed establishment, wherever I have ATM located, I have to register.
Not registered, sir.
Huh?
You need to get registered, no?
Which one?
Other than registered,
No. If I have a fixed establishment under the registration provisions,
okay.
I am creating a place of business.
Here specifically for fixed establishments, they say other than registered place of business, no?
Correct. That place is not yet registered, but it is a fixed establishment. Then it becomes registered. I have to register that. So I have to decide which GST I should charge. See, for example, if I have one ATM location in Baroda and I don't have any registration in that state,
then you have to get registered.
then I have to get, let us say I have a marketing company based in Chennai. I am supposed to have a marketing company, but what all my retailer wants, I will do. Bulb maathuve. Stock I have to move. Logistics I have to arrange. I will do everything possible. For me to do all these services, I have a small office in Bombay. I have a small office in Calcutta. I have a small office in Hyderabad. In this office, there are 2 people working. In Kochi, office illa. Should I treat these 4 locations as fixed establishment because I meet the degree of permanence or suitable structure? Interpretation. Very, very subjective. So, fixed establishment has been defined in this particular manner. Of course, place of business is quite widely defined. Now, let me bring an interesting scenario. There is this income tax decision in the case of Formula 1, latest Supreme Court judgment. international circuit is a fixed place where commercial or economic activity of conducting F1 championship was carried out, one could clearly discern that was a virtual projection of the foreign enterprise, namely Formula One, on the soil of this country. Fixed place of business, that is Buddh International Circuit, was at the disposal of FOWC through which it conducted business. Taxable event has taken place in India, and the non-resident FOWC is liable to pay tax in India on the income it has earned on this soil. So my question is, can a permanent establishment under Income Tax Act be considered as a fixed establishment under GST Act? Can a permanent establishment under the IT Act become an FE under the GST Act? Now let's look at FE. It requires sufficient degree of permanence, suitable structure in terms of human technical resources. So what really happened in Formula One? JP entered into a race promotion agreement with FOWC, whereby FOWC granted JP the right to host and promote Grand Prix in India for USD of 40 million. Under an artwork license agreement, FOWC permitted JP to use certain IPR for a consideration. So, given the same facts, JP had made payments to a foreign company. Should JP pay IGST as import of service, or can JP say you have a fixed establishment in India because you have a permanent establishment in India? Since you have a fixed establishment in India, me register panni, me ML invoice raise panni, you have to charge me GST, I am not liable. So the question is, who should pay? Should the importer of service pay under reverse charge mechanism, or it is not even a reverse charge mechanism, the foreign supplier is required to do this? IPL has got similar questions. Foreign player playing in India, all those foreign cricketers playing in India, do they have a fixed establishment in India for the 2 months when they played in this hot sun? Answer is no. But you have to examine it before you come to the conclusion. So, and assuming in your IPL season, continuously game or then there can be a change in position also. So, there could be any number of scenarios where the foreign party provides services for which make a foreign payment. Should I pay reverse charge IGST by taking as import of service, or should I say it is not my responsibility, you should register? Or look at the third dimension. I think it is import of service and I pay the IGST. His consultant tells him that, sir, Formula One Supreme Court judgment, you are a PE. Some PAN. So the foreign company gets a PAN, becomes a PE. PAN, sir, GST, sir, GST. Now he has become a supplier who is registered. Location of supplier is in India. Location of recipient is in India. You move to 13 to 12. And he would want to charge GST. I have already paid IGST on import of service. You cannot say, sir, can we adjust this? That is not possible. So you need to probably sit with everybody before you take a decision as to who should pay, where should you pay. And obviously 2 consultants will not agree. Fundamental rule. Basic rule of professionalism and professional advice is that I will have a view, you will have a view. Both of us will never see eye to eye in most of the cases.
I don't have to say his own thing.
Assassi has his own view. That's very very. Scenario 2.
Period is mentioned, sir.
Which one?
3 months, 4 months.
See, there is no, unlike income, you are right. In income tax at least, when they define permanent establishment, there is a time frame for various kind of scenarios. Income tax also has gone for a 6 after the latest 2018 amendment. Only they brought in subjectivity based on number of transactions, because the BEPS and all that, they messed up that segment also. But that will take more time for us to interpret.
There was a similar case in UAE. There was doing implementation for that.
Okay.
The company was getting services from Bloomberg.
Okay.
So Bloomberg has got an office in UAE also.
Right.
The Bloomberg is directly building that. The point is that
whether they should register and charge in UAE VAT, or should you pay under reverse charge?
As a reverse charge.
Absolutely. All these are open questions, very serious questions which will not be so easy to solve also. Not easy to take a position.
No, this becomes a problem in case of a contract you do outside Chennai, sir. Outside Tamil Nadu, you do a contract work there.
ஆமா outside Tamil Nadu because Tamil Nadu எல்லா business முடியாச்சு உடனே so outside Tamil Nadu
No, it becomes a fixed establishment.
it can
Yes.
it can become for example your why unga profession எடுத்துக்கோங்க your auditors you are having a Chennai office which is registered Pakka. You also have a Hyderabad branch where 3 people are sitting and you are doing audit in Andhra Pradesh, in Telangana. Whether you are using the resources of Chennai to do this and therefore should you charge IGST, or whether resources of Hyderabad have been deployed for this audit and therefore you should charge Telangana GST and CGST can be a question. Or whether you should always say, I do only central contract, everything, the decision is taken at Chennai, the heart is Chennai, brain is Chennai, all decisions are taken at Chennai. Chennai will do the client billing to Hyderabad. The branch is a support center which supports the Chennai office, therefore the Hyderabad will bill the Chennai office. And I will take their input tax credit, cost plus, whatever I want to put, I can put, and then I will bill the client. But all that must be documented. If you don't have documentation to establish, if you don't have trail to establish, if you don't have this kind of decision making at Chennai, somebody might say you have wrongly charged IGST, you should have charged Telangana GST. They will say, so you need to be very, very careful. Unga professionally, there can be much scenario, bigger scenarios. So as you rightly said, I may work in another state. So when I work in another state, whether that location which I am using can become a fixed establishment. Because it says a location which is capable of receiving service is also fixed establishment. And then a service. I am receiving service. So you have to be very, very careful in your transaction.
But receiving goods is not there, no?
Receiving goods is not there.
What does it mean? Why did they allow it, sir?
Yeah, that's very important. See, service is more complicated than goods.
Once you receive goods, automatically you become a registered.
Not necessarily. I will buy one A4 size notebook, sir. See, அங்கே போகிற அவசரத்துக்கு அன்னைக்கு பண்ணுற செலவு எழுதுறதுக்கு I need a notebook. Okay? I am not very tech savvy. So, ஒரு 40 பக்கம் notebook வாங்குறேன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். I am receiving goods, therefore I see the fixed establishment. So, probably they would have thought through that. Service is much more critical for you to, for example, you may take a premises on rent. Therefore, you receive renting services. Okay, you need food, therefore catering services. So you receive services that has got a little more activity or permanence. That's what they think. So imagine a scenario of site. A contractor going to a site and working on that site. Whether contractor requires registration of that site. In which case,
no period is there.
no period is there. That is precisely the problem. Unlike our permanent establishment definition in income tax.
I take one for 1 month, whether I should get registered by, I take one for 3 months. I am going to put a sample over there, sir. Whether should I get a registration?
That's what a casual dog. Take a casual day registered dog.
The company has a property in Chennai and Mumbai. Okay. For the Mumbai rental, what should be the? It should be IGST, right?
No, you are the landlord. You have a property in Chennai as well as
In Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Let it to a person in Mumbai. Should I charge IGST or?
My view is it should be IGST for the simple reason that mere ownership of a property does not create a fixed establishment in the other state. If you have let out to a tenant, it is not as if you are sitting in that house also. Okay, it is not as if you have one desk there or one room there where you are sitting and saying that daily you are not watching that. You are an absentee landlord. Therefore, your ownership by itself cannot create a fixed establishment. But let us say you are running a service apartment and you have an employee of yours sitting in the desk, managing people coming in and going out. Things can change.
But even in some cases where
Location of the property.
were not pure rentals, there
No,
were-
location of the property is for the place of supply. So, place of supply is that state. No doubt about it. Where is the supplier located? Because this question is, should I charge IGST or should I charge Maharashtra GST, CGST, correct? IGST is my view. Because your location, see what does place of supply say for renting? The place of supply is the location of the immobile property. So the place of supply is determined. Location of supplier and place of supply in 2 different states makes it IGST.
So in case of removable property, location of supplier may not see applicable.
No. No, why not? Place of supply is only for determining one part of the transaction. The other part of the transaction is still supplier. Assuming in this case, he is also residing in Mumbai. Then location of supplier becomes Mumbai, place of supply becomes Mumbai, he would charge CGST and Maharashtra GST because intra-state supplier. Whereas in the case like interstate supply. See, under the CST Act, interstate supply or interstate sale involved physical movement of goods from one state to another. In the GST law, interstate supply depends upon supplier in one state, place of supply in another state. No, place of supply must be another state. That is why the location of the place of supply.
Sir, in that case, the place of supply, the immovable property in Chennai, supplier in Chennai, renting of services, supplier in Chennai, but the recipient who has taken the property, his registration probably is registered office in Mumbai. In that case, what it will be?
Then again, if that person's registration, namely location of recipient, is outside India, outside the state, that may not have any relevance for renting transaction, because renting transaction, place of supply is the location of the immovable property. For a consultancy transaction, location of recipient would be relevant. For a renting transaction, location of immovable property is relevant. So place of supply provisions are very, very important. I am of the view no. Because you are not providing a renting service from that location. You are not even providing anything there. You are only in ownership. There is an asset owned by you. That asset owned by you is given to him on tenancy. You are from some other state. From there, you are making this asset available.
But in some of those,
if you take registration, you have to charge CGST, SGST and file returns from there. Anga aalu kediyadhu. Online. Online for some time till the inspection comes.
But in that case, there will be a conflict. Suppose the property is in Chennai and the owner is also in Chennai, and if it is taken for rent by a Mumbai, say Maharashtra, அவருடைய நம்பர் நம்ம போடும்போது ஐஜிஎஸ்டி தானே வரும். If I bill on him.
The question, the system will ask you whether a place of supply is in another state or question or only.
Place of supply has to fill up. You are having head office in Chennai. You are renting many places across India. Say landlord is in Delhi. He bills to you in Chennai. Then you put only IGST.
That is the convenience route many of the companies are taking by saying that, look, I don't care about all those things. This is my address. This is Bombay, so I charge IGST. That's how they are routing it. IGST is a easy route, the most comfortable route. At one point, the state authorities will discover saying that IGST is not giving me revenue. And then they will ask a question. Do you have other offices? Do you have registration? Then comes the question. In fact, there is a larger question. There is this cost sharing concept. Where when you have multiple locations, you try to move the cost from one location to another. There is a view that manpower cost must also be distributed. My question is, can you say that an employee is working for the Bangalore branch of the company or an employee is working for the company? You cannot say employee is working only for the Bangalore branch. He is working for the entity. So can you say that employee cost should be distributed? If you are distributing employee cost, what you are doing is you are indirectly taxing salary. Salary directly cannot be taxed. But if you distribute salary and you say that this is cost plus, therefore I will tax it, you are taxing salary. So there are larger questions in this when it comes to inter-unit movement, beyond our domain of today's discussion. There are enough here. Let me finish that. Location 2. Japanese-based companies engaged in the business of manufacture of consumer products opened a liaison office in India. RBI permission. Activities of liaison office are very preparatory in nature. No authority to discuss terms of contract or initiate contract. Liaison was only to act as a communication channel. Of course, this has been plugged in the Income Tax Act. Yes, sir.
Now, you're saying even in the normal course when you supply products also.
Yes.
When you go salary is still being taxed. Like when I'm quoting, including the cost of salary also in my selling price, naturally it becomes taxed.
No, my point is like this. For example, let us say there is a corporate office in Chennai, which is billing the client. Or your audit example, perfect example. Chennai audit office, Chennai central office bills the client in Telangana. Part of the work has been executed by the Hyderabad office, or support functions have been executed by the Hyderabad office. So the Hyderabad office is billing the central office, and the central office then bills the client. Assuming audit assistants have been used for this audit work, or auditors have been used, if the salary cost incurred in Hyderabad is billed on the Chennai office, and Chennai office factors that as cost and bills it on the client, first question would be, anyway salary is not taxable, so why should Hyderabad bill Chennai HR cost? They can bill infrastructure cost, they can bill supervisory cost, they can bill laptop related power cost or consumables cost, etc. But if they bill the HR cost or human cost, then they are indirectly taxing salaries. Whereas the overall GST philosophy is that employee to employer not taxable.
But these two companies not employer-employer, sir.
Either.
Branch to head office, it's not an employer-employer relationship.
They are same entity.
That's what I'm saying. So then there is no question of tax at all.
It is not an employer-employer relationship. Therefore, it will not come into the schedule.
So can I simply say that my billing from Chennai office has covered all these costs? Right? My billing from Chennai office has anyway factored all these costs. Therefore, I have paid GST on the audit fee. Why should there be another GST on the salary cost billed by the Hyderabad office to Chennai office?
Distinct person.
No, the question is whether can you, Supreme Court philosophy is, what cannot be done directly can never be done indirectly. You cannot tax salaries directly. What you are doing is indirectly taxing it.
My view is it is not even indirectly, sir.
It is not even indirect. You are right. It is not even indirect. It is extremely remote. But convenience sake, they are passing on the cost. Credit kadakide, so billing is done. That is what it is. Now, liaison office, no power to execute contract, no power to discuss terms of contract, no power to initiate contract. LO was only to act as a communication channel. Delhi bench in the case of Kawasaki held that powers are very specific. Employees are not authorized to do core business activity or sign and execute contracts. All purchase orders were raised directly by Indian Customs Head Office. Assessee does not have permanent establishment in India. Of course, this is prior to Finance Act 2018. Finance Act 2018 has amended the Law and Income Tax Act, even initiation enough for creating PE. But when it comes to GST, employees are present in India. Office is there, liaison office is there. Will they not treat this as fixed establishment? Sufficient degree of permanence, human resources, technical resources. So, what is not a P for Income Tax Act can become an FE for GST. You see the reverse? So, it's a possibility that this could be a fixed establishment, in which case our fellow has to get GST number. When he asks for GST number, our PAN return kepa. PAN kadayadu. So, GST kaga or PAN vaangi veppom. If he gets a PAN, he'll get into trouble there also.
Based on that, their passport, I believe they use the.
No. Chance hai. You will not get registration. PAN iduthaale kudukkuradhu. Commissioning installation. Scenario 1. CI India deputes its employees to commission equipment in Turkey. Services are performed outside India on equipment that is made available by the recipient. 13(3) of the IGST Act says, place of supply shall be location where the services are actually performed, where goods are made physically available by the recipient to the supplier in order to provide services. Classic example is, this also applies to scenario where an individual being a recipient, unless he is there, supplier cannot provide services. Now, this section will apply. Classic example is haircut. What I cannot give as an example. Unless the person is physically present, the services of haircutting cannot be done. Evlo remote technology, artificial intelligence vandalo. See, I'm a big fan of technology. In fact, I made a presentation for EY a couple of months back on litigation landscape in 2025. Probably, I'll share it with some of your close friends, where most of the professions will become irrelevant. By 2020-21 itself, most of the routine work will be outsourced. You will have juniors who are robotic juniors, where things can be handled over phone, or things the efficiency would be probably at a higher level in terms of operations. AI will completely. These are all exponential growth. See, we have to understand something. You can always say, sir, it will take time for it to come. But today we are looking at exponential growth. Look at cell phone market, how it came. It completely transformed in such a manner that there are houses which never got a landline and promoted to cell phone. We probably belong to a generation where we had a landline with 5-digit numbers, then became 6-digit numbers, then became 7-digit numbers, then became 8-digit numbers, and then went to a cell phone. Went to a pager and then a cell phone. But there is a generation which does not even have a landline. Abdina enna ke point. Classic example was when this flood happened. Landlines worked in some places, but very few houses had landlines. So the exponential growth is such that the AI will sweep. Of course, you must be already doing blockchain and things like that, breaking your head on where it is going to go. So, performed outside India is critical for 13.3, where they say it is impossible for the service to be rendered unless this fellow is there. The recipient must be there. Similarly, the services cannot be done unless the goods are handed over. Then read 13.3. And then they say place of supply shall be the location where the services are actually performed. So in this case, what happens? Deputes its employees to commission equipment in Turkey, service is performed in Turkey, therefore place of supply is outside India. Indian company purchases equipment from a vendor in Germany. Indian subsidiary of German vendor is responsible for installation of equipment. Payment by Indian company includes installation. Invoice raised for installation services by Indian subsidiary on German supplier. Money received in euros is export of service. Section 13.3a provides that place of supply shall be the location where the services are actually performed in cases where services are supplied as for goods which are required to be made physically available. So now the question is, the client will give the equipment to me because he has bought it from a German vendor who says, Engalo Targa, he will take care of installation, not a subsidiary. So as soon as the equipment comes to him, he says, your boss told that you have to come and install. So I will go and install. I won't do it free. I will bill my parent. He will give me euros. Location of supplier area. Am I doing the installation as a subsidiary, therefore I am the supplier? Correct. Who is the recipient of installation of services? Is it the fellow who receives the services or the fellow who pays for the services? If it is a fellow who pays for the services, then I look at section 13 which says actual work in Gali. So even though I receive in euros, it will be taxed. So you have issues in every element of business, whether section 12 would apply or 13 would apply, and what position you should take. Software testing. US company provides testing services and software developed by an Indian company. Software is hosted in the server of the US company located outside India. Testing carried out in US. Payment made by Indian company in US dollars. Since the work is outside India, then the place of supply is outside India, therefore it is not an import of service.
So in the previous example,
Yes?
Arrangement between the German subsidiary and the client, that billing it to client directly will facilitate the transaction. That can be done, right?
It can be done. That one, but they won't do that. They won't do that because the foreign vendor would not like to identify how much is the installation cost. They will give a total figure. This is cover supply, commissioning, installation, testing, drawing, design, all set figure. That probably 60% is services. You never know. That's the way some of the business models are never, especially European models, they never alter it. Scenario 2. Indian company is awarded a software testing contract by UK customer. team from India travel to London and are given access to systems in UK where the software is located. Money is received in foreign exchange. Is this transaction taxable? Is this transaction export of service? If the transaction is testing services, then you will say that testing was done outside India, therefore place of supply is outside India, money is in foreign exchange, therefore not taxable. Suppose they take a view that, sir, this is not testing services, this is manpower supply. You can't call it testing, it is only manpower. Then manpower would mean location of recipient. Again, it might help you because money is coming from abroad. But assuming contract can be structured in a way where it can be taxable, you have to be very, very careful. So testing is just a terminology, but you have to be careful in how the contract reflects it. Jolf is a CA firm based in Kerala. An US client has sought the advice with reference to setting up of two businesses in India, namely Kola project in Kerala, chemical project in Madhya Pradesh. Third business was copper smelter plant in Tuduguran. Jolf carries out research studies in both the states and sends a report by email. He sends a report by email, 1-page email. The recommendation is chemical plant at Kerala, Kola plant at Madhya Pradesh. Super advice. Because if he puts a Kola plant in Kerala, it will be closed. If he puts a chemical plant in Madhya Pradesh, it will be closed. Therefore, you just twist those locations. Yoda is worthless. He is billing in dollars, billions, let us say. Now, lot of chartered accountants are confused. I know for practice, because many of them seek advice on these points. Sir, foreign polar, sir. India, I am doing all this work. Entire research I am doing here, only sending an email. How can it be exported? It is exported because it is consultancy. If it is consultancy services, place of supply is the location of the recipient. Location of the recipient is US. Where you do the work, I don't care whether it's by email or whatnot. It is an export of service.
Sir,
Yes.
there's a company in UK. Okay, no relation to India. But the person who owns a company, he is an Indian. He comes and settles in India and does the work from India. No employee, he is only one employee. Now, we asked the question whether I have to charge any GST, whether I have to register myself.
That UK consulting company provides services to whom?
Only to people in UK.
People in US. Who is a critical fellow in mutual fund business? What's his name called? Anybody? Fund manager. There is a debate going on as to what is the role of a fund manager. One man, but that man is critical. That one fund manager is the most important man in that fund. He takes all decisions as to where to invest, which stock will lose more money. Okay. So that there is now a debate as to whether fund manager can create a place or a presence for the fund. That is why relaxation was done in the Income Tax Act, in Finance Act 2018, saying that fund manager because it's an opportunity for India. Now just extend that logic. If your man is so critical for this entire consulting work, let us say it's a one-man consulting work, then cannot the department say that his address or location is a fixed establishment by itself? He may be residing here, but if he is doing all the work here, one, he is violating the India visa conditions. First, if he is a client, please advise him. He is violating India visa conditions because if he is on a tourist visa, he has no business to do business. If he is doing work for the UK company in India, then he has to get a different kind of a visa for him to operate. Ide activity, if he is doing in UK, he will be thrown out. I understood his question. There are enough examples which I have seen similar to this. India la mudiyo. But if an Indian does this in UK, let us say Ulta scenario, where an Indian company and you go to UK for a 6 months tourist visa and you sit there and do some work, you will be expelled, thrown out. So it is very critical to understand. India is also developing its visa laws. These are all provisions are there, but people are not finding it so easy to implemented.
So now something more on that. Instead of doing it in his own computer, so through the team he accesses the other computer and does the.
But you are the brain. So you are only facilitating it. The computer is only a gadget. It's only a device for you to execute it. You are the brain. You are operating it. So there could be a scenario where a one-man army could be a fixed establishment. So again I said these are very, very subjective definitions. Sufficient degree of permanence, those things, resources. So you can always say resources no plural, rendu per irukonu solla. So if you want to argue legally, you can argue anything. Like those days in income tax, single residential house for section 54. We kept on interpreting saying that a house is singular, plural will also get included. So they amended the law. So like that it can go on. So this is clearly an export. Scenario 2. Joseph based out of Trivandrum files returns for NRI clients based out of UAE. Bills raised in USD. Place of supply. Location of recipient. 13.2. Export of service. But if it is an export of service, you have to follow section 16. Get yourself a GST registration. Give an LUT and then bill. Okay. You cannot avoid those kind of procedures. You will have to go through all that.
No, the entire service is written only in Indian server, sir.
Entire service?
It's done in Indian income tax server.
Exactly. They are the question. So it is still an export of service because it is consultant. Tax return filing is consultancy. See, you can apply the physical performance test only in a scenario where goods are made available to you for you to provide services, or recipient's physical presence is required for you to render the service. This is the physical performance test. Probably one authority might come back and say, sir, our data kudukuraru and the data ninga IT return la upload pandreenga. Data is goods. Without giving the goods, you are not able to file the return. Then court will decide whether data is goods or not. But to me, it looks like a pure consultancy services.
From outside India, you are not able to file the income tax returns.
Yeah.
It's not allowing. Yeah. They can even not download 23 days there.
Okay.
They cannot do it.
But still, that's why I said, no, any number of, that earlier example, that's why I go back to the earlier example.
You cannot access our GST website from outside.
Entire work of consultancy is done in India. Email alone is sent to the foreign client. That itself is export. So this is even more a better case. ICAI Kochi branch organizes study tour for its members. Study tour involves everywhere I'm using Trivandrum, Kochi, etc. Because tomorrow I'm in Kerala speaking on the same topic. So, I finished the presentation. So forgive me for being favoring Kerala alone.
Comes under SARC.
Yeah, SARC, okay. ICAI Kochi branch organizes study tour for its members. Study tour involves visiting Australia and understanding GST system to be implemented in Australia. Lump sum amount is collected in INR per delegate, which covers travel, accommodation, local transportation, to sightseeing. ICAI makes payment to hotels located in Brisbane and Sydney. ICAI makes payment to travel agent in India for tickets and visa. ICAI makes payment to a hospitality company based in Sydney for logistics support. So then, for all these things, you have to look at section 12 as well as section 13. So ICAI and delegate, both are in India, section 12. ICAI hotel, outside India. ICAI hospitality, outside India. ICAI travel agency, both are in India, 12. So some you have to look at 12, some you have to look at 13. Hotel accommodation, place of supply is the location of the immovable property. So hotel is in Sydney. Therefore, even if you make payments in dollars, you are not liable, ICAI is not liable to pay GST under reverse charge mechanism. Logistics support services, very general, therefore default rule. Location of recipient. So you will, ICAI has to pay reverse charge service tax. Air ticket and visa, section 12, he has to charge. Supplier has to charge, because both are in India, it is his responsibility. I am not liable. Delegate fee. Organization of education event, location of the registered person to whom services are provided. So it is a fundamental assumption that a person who wants to go to Australia and see GST law in Australia must have GST registration in India at least. So that we assume that he is registered, and therefore we apply section 12(7) and location of the registered person to whom the services are provided. So therefore they will charge you CGST or SGST or IGST depending upon your registration number and registration.
Sir, if it is not registered, number is not registered, then in such a situation is where the event is held.
Where the event is held.
So therefore the event is held in...
That's why I said it is unlikely in this example.
The word immovable property is not defined, sir. Where do you draw reference to that?
No, that definition says immobile property, hotel, campsite, element. It's quite wide. It covers a hotel.
That's not defined.
No, that rule, that section which talks about where it is located, covers a hotel, campsite, everything else. Last point. US company under an agreement provides technical services to its subsidiary in India. Billing is on cost plus 6.5%, and on this amount, Indian company discharges IGST on reverse charge basis. No problem. Cost plus is also as per TP. Over and above this fee, costs and expenses incurred on travel insurance of the person depot in India is recovered by the US company on actual basis without any margin or markup. Whether reimbursement is an import of service. Now if you go back to our distinct person, all those definitions, they'll say holding company, subsidiary company and all etc. straight away treated as without consideration and therefore treated as a transaction which is supply. But it may be a supply. Can you not apply pure agency also in a supply transaction? Let it be a supply, I am not denying that. But value of supply does not include pure agency transaction. So I can still implement pure agency. Even in terms of section 4, it may be treated as supply without consideration. I can apply pure agency concept and ensure that all the conditions required for pure agency are met as per the CGST rules, and then say that even under related parties, I can demonstrate that pure agency exists, in which case that amount will not form part of value. This can be slightly disputed, where the department might say that pure agency cannot be applied for related party transactions. For that, there is a non-obstante clause somewhere. There is no non-obstante clause as on date, unless a loophole is arrested later. So once you say it's a supply, every aspect of the law of valuation should apply. If every aspect of the law pertaining to valuation will apply, the rules will also apply. If the rules also applies, value excludes pure agency transactions. So you should be able to extend that principle, is my humble view. Thank you for a very patient hearing on this evening today. Thank you.
So supply, in respect of goods, supplier is in India. He ordered goods from Singapore. Now he got a client from Malaysia on the same goods. So he asked the person from Singapore to send the goods to Malaysia. Then in such a situation, it is not an export of goods because the goods is not moved from India to outside. Therefore, is it therefore section 5 and 7, I came to the conclusion that it is only interstate transaction. As per section 5 and 7, it is interstate transaction, whether the tax is leviable or not.
You got an order from a Singapore party and then you diverted the goods to Malaysia. So basically goods are moved from Singapore to Malaysia. A, GST Act does not have jurisdiction to tax this. It's completely out of India, they have no business to tax it. B, if at all GST can be imposed, the only way you can impose is if it is an import. Then IGST can be imposed on import. Just like how you said export definition is not satisfied because goods never left the country, import is also not satisfied because goods never came to the country. So it is not even an import of goods, it is not even an export of goods, it is a transaction of supply of goods between Singapore and Malaysia. Just because I receive the money, I cannot be subject to tax. For you to call it as an interstate supply, then you must say, sir, supplier is in Tamil Nadu, place of supply is in Karnataka. Then it is interstate.
even if the supply is outside India, then also it will be considered as interstate. So here, the goods is moved from Singapore to Malaysia. Therefore, I applied section 10(1)(a). There is a movement of goods. The movement is terminates in outside India. The supplier is in India. So therefore, it is an interstate transaction.
Which means you're giving extra territorial jurisdiction through 10(1)(a).
Possible.
Beyond the powers. I don't think 10(1)(a) can be given that kind of reading. You're talking about 10(1)(a) of IGST.
Because in service tax, it says taxable entity. That is absent in GST.
See, 10(1)(a) says the place of supply of goods other than supply of goods imported into or export of India shall be as under, where the supply involves movement of goods whether by the supplier or the recipient or by any other person, the place of supply of such goods shall be the location of goods at the time at which movement of goods terminates for delivery to the recipient. Even if you apply this, it is outside India.
Yes. So therefore, the place of supply is outside India. The supplier is in India. Therefore, it is an interstate transaction. If you come to section 5 of the IGST Act, IGST Act says the tax shall be levied on all interstate transactions. So there I got confused.
This will be beyond jurisdiction. If you tax panna, then anything can be taxed.
Even service, sir, even if you take service.
In IC sale, they have kind of understood this. Yeah, it's in a way they have understood IC sale where one of the terminating points is in India. So they have understood a scenario. Let us give an example where I purchase the goods from Singapore. Without taking delivery, I transfer the title to somebody in Bangalore. There they say the first transaction is not taxable. The second transaction is taxable at an ultimate price which includes the value of the first transaction also. That's what they say. So that's what they've amended in the Customs Tariff Act. 13(7) of the Customs Tariff Act was amended in Finance Act 2008 to cover this. But this is beyond IC sales. This is something where we call as entry pot trading, where if I do trading without being involved, how can you tax me just because my presence is here?
This consideration received will be the nature of consideration.
It will be out of this. It will be out of the scope of supply itself.
So these on behalf collections between two entities where they have these usually between two sister concerns where they have this agreement that some amounts come into one entity but it will be paid exactly to the other entity. So say an amount would come in and the same amount would be transferred. So at times they have these issues of giving these bills of two separate entities. They are combining these bills and they would collect some amount on behalf of the other entity. What kind of complications do you see in such scenarios, sir? Your agent is on the other hand where you incur an expense, but these are collections which have been collected on behalf of the other entity.
You talk about receipts.
Receipts, yes.
Now, purely debit notes by way of apportionment.
No, he's talking about receipt, not even cost.
Yeah, receipts.
So money due to B is collected by A on behalf of B to be remitted to B.
And the exact amount will be transferred and there will be contracts.
So you can always take the view that the extent of money going to B does not belong to you.
Right.
So you can apply the diversion of overriding title principle and say if I receive 100, just because I receive 100 doesn't belong to me, 50 belongs to me, 50 belongs to my other fellow. Ensure that the 50 is transferred as per contractual agreement which shows that you are collecting on his behalf. Ensure that B reports 50, A reports 50. Ensure that both people pay applicable GST on the transaction. If you pay GST on 100 by taking it as receipt, then you will have to recognize as payment to him and ask him to charge you GST on it so that you can take the credit. Otherwise, you report 50 and pay GST, he reports 50 and pays GST. Your accounting must be clean and the GST compliance must follow accounting.
How about apportionment? Suppose in one building, two companies are the same.
My view is that cost apportionment would attract GST. Cost allocation should attract GST because it is very difficult to implement a pure agency in a estimated cost allocation. So you will roughly go by turnover standards or some other methodology to recover the cost. So it should attract GST. Second, practically, what is this cost? It will be AMC cost or rental cost or some other cost where that will charge GST. So it is better to take the view that cost apportionment attracts GST so that your credit is smooth. You take the credit, proportionately recover, set it off, he takes the credit. So it may be a smoother transaction.
temporary structures for films, shooting purposes, would that be immovable property?
No. There is already a judgment on this. What is the studio, famous studio in Andhra Pradesh? Ramoji City. There is a judgment of the AP High Court, Ramoji City, where the department argued that you have manufactured furniture, you have manufactured palaces, you have manufactured lakes, therefore you are liable to pay excise duty. They said it is pure temporary structure to be dismantled, therefore excise duty can happen those days. So we are not even talking about goods. Where is the question of being immovable?
The leasing of containers.
The container belongs to somebody. You are at best allowed to use the space inside the container.
I'm taking the container as a lease and letting it to somebody.
Mottama container itself you are taking on lease. But would that be a dispute now, given that in GST, renting of goods is treated as a service? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise, sir. Yes, sir. So, the learning of GST, the journey started last year. It continues. Today also we have so much of doubts. I don't know when it will end. He is there with us to clarify our doubt. Whenever there is a budget meeting, he is there. Whenever, I can see him. He is there in the SIRC every week. Every week he will be called. He is there to clarify our doubts. In a way, I could say I don't see him as an advocate. He's like chartered accountant. As though he is a chartered accountant.
Classification dispute.
So he is one among us. We started thinking like this. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and expertise. Some people will have knowledge, but they will not be ready to share their knowledge. So thank you so much, sir. The way you interacted with the members, thank you so much, sir. You made it lively. கொஞ்சம் இப்படி போர் அடிக்கும் நிறைய கேஸ் லாஸ் அப்படின்னா ஓகே அப்போ விவேக் காமெடி அந்த காமெடி ஸோ டு மேக் யூ வித் ஹிம் அது தட் டெக்னிக் அண்ட் ஆல் வாஸ் வெரி நைஸ் இன்னும் சொல்ல போனால் advanced GST program is on 1st 2nd June. I thought as a CP chairman to say vote of thanks I came late also. But the way the session was going, I thought it is advanced GST. That's what I was asking. So since because eminent speakers were invited, the way they handled, it's like an advanced GST. Thank you so much. And one more announcement, 15th, 16th. Metro conference we have in the Taj Coromandel Hotel. Local speakers are also there. I can say all region speakers. From all over India, the speakers are invited. It's not exclusively for one subject. All the subjects are covered. Top. You say he's a person. Tops are invited. He's also invited. Sir. Thank you, sir. So all the tops will be there. Come, enjoy, take valuable inputs for your practice. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. First time we are launching a program called Advanced GST course. It's called the Advanced Course on GST. The course is designed by the Indirect Tax Committee, and it will be a 6-day program actually. And out of that, 4-day will be a seminar type and 2-day will be a webinar type. And we are conducting the first batch tomorrow in the same venue, morning 9:30. We have requested CP Rao, the Chief Commissioner, he will be here to formally launch that program. And there won't be, and of course, as a fitting finale, Mr. Vaidiswaran will take us through the 4th day, last session, on the constitution, on the legal intricacies in GST. So And all the topics we have taken empaneled the speaker in the Indirect Taxes Committee, and the sections will not be discussed, and also the fundamentals are not discussed. It's only the case study mode, like how illustration or case by case Mr. Vaidi was explaining to us the export and import of services. So like that, each and every speaker will take us through the intricacies of the subject, the minutest part, the practical part of it. On behalf of Southern India Regional Council and on behalf of the Committee for Indirect Taxes, I thank you, each and every one of you, for making this GST practice a 4-hour program on the latest development, a phenomenal success. May I request Mr. V.V. Sampath Kumar to be on the stage because he is the coordinator for that program. I am a co-coordinator for the program for the advanced course on GST. And may I request Sampath Kumar to honor Advocate K. Vaidiswaran on behalf of each and every one of us present here. Thank you very much. Please extend your support for the future programs also. Kindly join us for dinner. Thank you.